screwed.
Paste it everywhere. So yeah, so we're live, I guess. And people, hello, welcome. And Trigger muted himself.
So Trump's
I
president
didn't.
now. It's President Trump. Trump
It
is
is
president.
officially President Trump.
President Trump.
I am not muted. What the fuck are you talking about?
Nothing. You're fine. We can hear you.
Okay.
Everyone can hear you.
So white power, huh?
Huh? Fucking Persians, I swear. So racist. Thinking they're Aryans.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are pretty racist, actually.
I know.
We're all racist. That's what makes us human.
I'm not racist.
Okay.
I just want a mixed race baby. That's all I want.
Maybe several.
Oh, yes.
Some yours, some not.
Mostly mine, though. Get a little swirl on. You know how it is. Anyways, what was I doing? Oh, yeah. I was going to post this in the chat, but I didn't open it. Hold on. Okay. Is there anybody watching yet?
It says 7 people watching. There's Russell. Oh, Russell's
It's
here.
still saying, please
Frederick is
stand
there?
by for me.
No, it's not. It's live.
Okay, there you go. So, here I'll post this link in here. All right.
Okay, I really need to
There it
figure out
is.
how to turn off the Discord. Never mind.
I just exit Discord. It solves lots of problems.
I did that. Got it.
So I haven't
There
actually
you go.
read this article at all. I just read the title and was like, this will probably be good because it's from Feminista blog site. And they usually have like classy stuff on there. When I can't find something good for my bedtime stories, I come to this site because they'll always have something.
Nice.
So the title is An Invitation for Meaningful Dialogue. It's listed under discrimination, election, GLBTQ, health, immigration, law, media, and media literacy, race and ethnicity, and religion. So, could be going anywhere with this one.
All of our favorite things.
Right? There's been a lot of talk lately about dialogue and understanding. Liberals just need to try to understand conservatives, they say. See, I knew it. People get defensive when you call them, or more often, even just imply that they might be bigots. Really? You think that they might get defensive about you giving them an insult? That's weird. Who'd have thought? That's how humans work.
Yeah, apparently we're just supposed to take all those buzzwords lying down.
Exactly. Yeah. But, like, I just called you a bigot. Why are you getting upset? Like, because I'm not a bigot.
If that's not a microaggression, I don't know what is.
Here's a good example. Mycroft keeps using neocon as an insult to me. He's like, but I am a neocon. It's like if I'm a bigot and you're like, oh, you're a bigot. I'm like, yeah, but I have my justifications for it.
I have this new thing since people are going around continuously complaining that people are using certain labels as pejoratives. I'm just going to start pointing out that all labels are pejoratives.
Yeah, they are. That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't affect me. I'm like, yeah, I
I guess it's all in context.
Yeah. Well, as I'm saying, like if you tell someone in the KKK they're racist, they'll be like, yeah, because I'm a superior race. Like, of course, I think my race is better than everyone else's. Right?
Yeah.
So, but if you're calling somebody something and they're getting offended by it, then you're probably using it as an insult, even if you didn't intend it that way.
Yeah, and then they whip out something stupid like, oh, the truth hurts. That's why you're getting offended.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they yell racist at people. That won't work on a racist. Like, a racist person who, is actually racist is going to be like, okay, I'm racist. Like, what's your point?
And that's why it doesn't work to call SJWs racist. They know it deep down inside. They have to admit to it before they can become an SJW.
Wait, it does work on the SJWs. Have you ever, just nonchalantly be like, that was kind of racist? And they're like, oh my God, and they freak the fuck out.
I thought it was only the white ones that admitted they were racist. The other ones are like,
you got the white guilt ones.
Isn't that like the first step of joining the cult?
If you're white.
If you're black, you can do no wrong.
Yeah, if you've told a black person who said something that is genuinely racist, you're like, that was kind of racist. They freak out, and you get this whole fucking dialogue
Unless you say it
about how they
black
can't
people,
be racist.
and then you're an Uncle Tom.
Exactly.
Yeah, or a coon.
So no matter, they don't really, I guess they're not racist, because as long as you agree with what they have to say, they're fine.
Exactly.
Even
if what they say is racist, somehow that works. if we want to get anything accomplished, we need to meet conservatives halfway, in which halfway is usually defined as on their side, they say. In this case, they are, for the most part, refers to journalists who think that because their piece is set on a college campus and not a failing coal town in West Virginia is totally novel and not the exact same article journalists have been writing since November 9th and before. Something tells me this is going to turn into fuck Trump. Is anybody else getting this one?
Could be.
That's
Could
most
be.
of the vibes here over the past 6 months.
Right. Generally, the response from the liberal camp is, fuck that shit, which is a position I myself have taken before. I stand by it. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. Actually, no, Latinos aren't rapists. And actually, no, BLM isn't a terrorist organization.
Oh, really?
Have
they taken on? Have they officially taken the position that BLM is not a terrorist organization? Because we have proof of otherwise. That's like them saying ISIS isn't a terrorist organization. Sorry, guys, that they don't fit the bill.
Well, I don't know anyone who's saying Latinos are rapists.
Yeah,
That's
they're the
the
ones
problem
who
that I
actually
have.
Trump
making the
reference.
assumption that.
Well, it is, but that
You
isn't
called
even what
it.
he said. That isn't
No,
even
well,
what he said.
yeah,
No, he said
I
they're-
know he isn't, but that's how they twist it.
Right, that's my point. Is like they just created a straw man and be like, no, I won't agree with you that Latinos are rapists. Like nobody asked you to. Nobody thinks that. Like what the fuck? And then they're like, see, you're a bigot. I'm like, what the fuck? How am I a bigot? I don't even think that. Like I don't understand. Oh, liberals are so funny. Supporting a bigot campaign involves signing off on bigotry. Isn't going to convince someone who is struggling to accept that that's what they did. It's hard and unsatisfying, and maybe the New York Times needs to do a dialogue and understanding piece about people who are being asked to take on that struggle. That said, dialogue can happen. Here's how.
Okay, wait. The last two sentences kind of made no sense to me.
That said, dialogue can happen. Here's how. Basically, she's going to woman-splain to us how we can... Ooh, yeah, I like that. I'm being distracted by my fiance.
Are you finally getting that blowjob while doing dumpster fire?
Nope. Oh, well, I'm doing a live stream. That's why I was...
Prefer cunt fussing over woman splaining.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think one of the things I would like to start inquiring during dumpster fire is who are the authors of these articles? Can you say like what they're?
I thought I did. Sorry. If any of you actually watch my bedtime stories, you'll know the name Caperton. That's who wrote this. They're a lot of classy material comes out of this person, but they don't use their full name.
Is she female? Is she?
I can give you. I can actually. There's a little thing like a list. I can give you titles of other blogs that they wrote on the website.
I want to know this bitch's gender.
It's a female.
Okay.
Are you sure
They're
she
all.
identifies as a female?
This site is all female.
Are you sure she identifies as one?
And is she white? Is she black? Is she?
Ooh, that's a good. See, I should know this, but there was another one that I was reading, but I'm pretty sure this one is white.
I clicked on the author's name and
it gives you the
third
list
article
of
down is hilarious. Open thread: Carrie Fisher drowns in moonlight, strangled by her own bra.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh
Fuck.
my god.
Yeah, this author is crazy. She's batshit.
Okay, so somebody really wanted to be
Sanctimonious Women's Studies Set Feminist. Her website is called Feminist. Oh my god, ew,
Yes.
ew. Oh, I just got
threw
the
up in your mouth
shivers.
a little bit.
See, I picked it for a reason. I like it. I like her articles because there's always plenty of shit to poke at in there. Here we go. So the first point in having a dialogue, privileged liberals, put your privilege to good use. It's completely understandable that you might not want to engage with people who either embody or enable bigotry. The ones who embody it are miserable to be around. Try spending time with someone who thinks that they're completely justified in wanting to put Muslims on registries or block LGBT people from services like housing and medical care.
Okay.
Are those things?
No,
think
it's
so.
not. For fuck's sakes, there's a lot of this going around, especially around Bill C-16. And what it is when they go to file out an application, they don't have their specific gender on it, so it's an act of violence against them because they can't fill out the form because it's only male and female.
Got it. Okay. Because I was saying the Muslims on registry things, like I've heard things about that, but it was if your family member is a suspected terrorist, there's like a registry for that.
just
Because
wish-
there was it the Boston bombers? There were brothers, and
Well, it's
you
another
looked at
Trump
one brother, but the
reference,
one
isn't
who
it?
did, yeah, but the one who did the majority of the shit, they didn't look at, even though it was his brother. And so basically, people were like, well, they usually comes from an environment that they're in. So we should look at the people. It's the same thing with gangs. Like if you're gang affiliated, they'll actually put your siblings on a list and, check up on you, make sure you're not getting sucked into the gang life too.
Isn't Obama's brother pro-Trump?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
He's also
interesting.
hilarious.
Oh yeah, because fucking Obama wouldn't help his. I don't remember what was going on, but his brother asked for help, and Obama just shunned him. So he was basically like, "Yeah, my brother shouldn't be president of the United States. Fuck him."
Oh,
Yeah, he
And
trolls
his,
on
and his
Twitter.
brother lives in what country is that? Where is he from?
Hawaii.
I don't remember.
No, no, he lives in Africa. I can't remember what country it is though.
Zimbabwe.
No, that's not where he lives.
Kenya.
Somebody.
Kenya.
Yeah, Kenya. That Kenya.
Oh, wait,
His brother is like born and raised and lives in Kenya. Right, and then tweets out from Kenya how we should vote for Trump and how he's gonna fix everything that his brother messed up. It's great.
Family's awesome
Well,
that
this
way.
I know,
is-
right?
This is why when you get rich, you fake your own death instead of having to do it.
I know, right? Yeah. So, like, if I ever won the lottery, which I don't play, but let's pretend I did, I would be anonymous, but I would just disappear. No one would know where the fuck I went.
Oh, they would know. They just wouldn't have easy access to me.
Oh no, yeah, nobody would know. I'd change my name, move to a place I've never lived before. I'd be Bob. So just Bob, no last name. Anyways, but yeah, I think the Muslims on registries, I think, is a thing, but nowhere near to the extreme of let's just put all Muslims on there. I don't know.
I don't know.
mean,
It's-
KKK might feel that way, but that's what 2,000 people.
I'm sure
4,000 at the
Trump said
most.
something close, but not quite to that extent.
Well, he was
That's
saying
where that
something
came
about
from.
not allowing Muslims to migrate in until the war on terror was done. I remember that. He was basically like, if we're at war with them, we shouldn't be bringing them in.
Which is kind of fair.
But I mean, it's completely fair. Like we interned the German. Well, we didn't intern all the Germans, but we interned the Japanese and a lot of the Germans who were suspected, and we stopped immigration, unless they were Jewish Germans. Those were the only people we let in because they were coming in as refugees. So obviously, Trump has not suggested anything to that level of extreme. So I think we're good. I think we'll be fine.
Even if he was, it worked out. Maybe they were uncomfortable for a while, but I mean, it served its purpose.
Yeah, the only problem, like the internment, I understand. There's a lot of loyalty in the Japanese culture, especially at that time. Was that they didn't take care of the Japanese people when they interned them.
Yeah, that's the part I don't agree with. It's unfortunate.
I do see the military benefit of internment.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Anyways.
What did I miss?
We were saying that interning the Japanese in World War II wasn't as bad as people think, but our treatment of the Japanese was not good.
Okay.
Like we didn't take care of them like we should. It makes sense that we segregated them so that they couldn't spy, and we had no our intelligence service is better today, so we shouldn't have to do that to any group of people, just for being members of that group.
About the idea of the Muslim registry thing,
Right.
like how that would play out.
Yeah. So I say a registry is nowhere near as extreme as that is, and I've only heard it suggested for links to terrorism, unlike in World War II where we interned all people of Japanese descent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I think if your ego and pride and to identify as part of a group is gonna get in the way of your future, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm the big fan of America First. I really don't care what race, religion, or anything that you are. But if you're coming to America, you should come here
Yeah.
to be American, not a hyphenated title.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Same
That's
with
it.
any
That's,
country.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, some countries actually make you a hyphenated. Like you'll never be a full citizen because you're
I
an immigrant.
Yeah, which the Asian wants to be more precise,
and I
I do
don't.
believe.
Yeah.
Like Japan, they and China and whatnot, they're like against that kind of integration and diversity.
And
Siggy, I guess you're echoing. Are you too close to Loki again?
no, his mic isn't on.
Mm.
And I don't think that being like a Canadian or American means you have to deny your own whatever ethnic culture you do come from.
No, not at
But
all.
you left for a reason, right? Like,
Well, that's one of the problems I have in the United States. We have like Muslim towns, Chinatowns,
yeah, we
Korean
have that all
towns,
over in Toronto as well.
and I think that's kind
Yeah.
of a problem. It's self-segregation, but it's not like they're coming for. Okay, there's a good economy, there's some security, but it also creates like a petri dish for the criminal elements of their countries, like in the like the Mexican mafia, the triads, the yakuza. They all come over and they come into those areas and they blend in. Where if you were assimilated, I don't think those type of foreign criminal entities would be able to get a foothold. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
you should be willing to assimilate at least to the point of the legal system.
well, what I mean is that, like,
Yeah, like
if you go to Chinatown, there's not a big like whole other law thing going on there, but they haven't become part of the American culture. And like in some places, like they don't even learn English at all. They have schools that are only speak that language, and I think that's a problem because you're still going to be an outcast, but now you're in the country and you're still an outcast.
I feel like when
Yeah.
there's going to be enough people, those kind of areas are inevitable, and it's not that bad. Like, I like the
Only because
fact
you
that
let in too many of them at a
Right,
time.
but like I like the fact that I could go downtown and go to Chinatown or Little Italy or Little Portugal. Like, it's kind of cool that there's certain, but
Of course,
to
that's the
enable-
liberal mindset.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
fine, but it's also, but to a certain extent, like I still think that it's nice to have that level of diversity, but when it's being enabled to the point where you go there and you can't communicate with people,
Oh yeah.
or
I know. I
Well,
know
I'm
you
saying,
mean.
okay, you're
And,
talking about having
like, are there's people who've been living in Canada for 25 years and can't say basic English communications of hellos and thank yous, and I'm not
Right, but
saying you
see-
need to make like references to
you're talking about a difference of the cultural heritage appreciation versus a community. Like you want like the Chinatown theater, and they have the Chinese New Year's parade and stuff in Chinatown, and you want to go experience that stuff. So, but we could have the cultural appreciate like. There's a town called Springfield in Missouri. It's I think it's the second largest city in the state, or maybe the third. But they have like Cultural Heritage Week, and they celebrate all those different things. But it's pretty much only white people that live there anyway. I
A
think
good
like
example of where that goes wrong was in the I think it was early 90s when Vancouver had a mass immigration of Chinese coming over by the boatload.
yes,
And
that's the
they
problem.
ended up like I went and visited at that time, and they would look down on you like you were invading their space, and their stores were they weren't in English, like their cash registers, everything was in Chinese because they just brought it all with them.
Yep.
And that was a problem because there was no even an attempt to integrate, and it was like you were the bad person for invading their space. Like, how dare you come in there and expect service?
Exactly. Yeah. It's really bad in California with the Central and South American cultures, but they're really good with each other. They kind of united against the white people, I guess you could say.
A lot of that
But it's the
going
same,
on.
yeah. But you get that thing, and there's people, and they're like, oh well, we're gonna excuse it. Like there's safe haven cities where they won't even deport illegal immigrants or anything like that, which is why it's such a big problem there. But they do that. They do mass immigration from one region, and then those people come together and they take over a whole community, and they never really become a part of the culture. It's like, and it's not
Yeah.
bigoted or racist to say, hey, come join us and be a part of us. That's kind of the opposite of being a bigot, isn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure the bigots look at that and say, "Good, stay in Chinatown. Don't fucking come out."
There's a
Just
podcast that I was
guessing.
actually listening to by some Canadian out of Vancouver, or it was a radio show actually, probably CBC, but they were talking about how there's neighborhoods in Toronto, well, even in Vancouver and Toronto, where you go to, and they're aggressive towards you if you are white, and apparently there was a survey that was done in Canada, and apparently like 70%, or I could have just made that up, but a large proportion of Canadians were saying that they thought that immigrants could do more to integrate. And the Liberals kind of went really nuts about this and then started talking about how this is white fragility. I can't say that word.
Yeah, fragility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And because like white people just can't handle not being the dominant, most important, and not having these communities cater to them and like or beg them to integrate with them. I don't know. It was just
Where the hell was that kind of logic the last time Quebec wanted to separate, for fuck's sakes?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this is the exact
Yeah.
same thing. It's, you know, we want to speak French. We only want to speak French and have everything our own way.
Yeah.
And we don't want nothing to do with any of you English-speaking people. And that was...
They yeah.
The
I've stood in line in places to get into like a club in Montreal, and when they overheard that we were from Toronto, they refused to let us in.
Oh, yeah, they can
See-
be terrible.
This is the problem that I have in the United States is they look at like we have our black culture now, is what they call it, and then it includes education, wearing properly fitting clothes, speaking proper English, right? Like just speaking the way that we all learn in school how to speak English, right? We all have different accents and things, but it isn't that. It's just saying words the way that they are spelt and pronounced.
Phonetically.
And all these things are being white culture. It's like, so getting an education is white culture. I'm like, this is very harmful to any minority group that you're telling that that's being white. Like that's harmful because you're saying they're betraying, who they are as an ethnic group, as a race, or anything like
Lots
that.
of that going around with whiteness and decolonization, and it's just ridiculous.
Well,
But I think that is bigotry, like pure bigotry. Because you're like, no, you have to be different than white people. Go be different.
Oh,
but
yeah,
isn't
but
this kind of a thing that's kind of been around, like this criticism of the elite for a long time? Because even in a story of Pygmalion or Taming of the Shrew, where there's this girl who talks wrong and behaves wrong, and he's trying to like train her to be a proper lady.
Well, there's nothing
Like-
wrong with being a proper lady.
I agree.
wow, that's a little
but
bit
there's
different
been this
time.
criticism.
No, well, I mean, there's the proper way to act in society in general.
I look at the Taming of the Shrew as more of trying to move somebody from one class to another. And if you're going to try to take someone who's like a thug from the street and get him into the upper class, you can't interact the same way you would with your friends who are thugs, to be blunt about
Well,
it.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I-
exactly.
I-
Yeah, exactly. There's a time and place for things.
having-
Like
Exactly.
locker room talk, like Trump got in trouble for locker room talk. But in that video, he is in a bus with some guys joking, having a good time. Right? That is not the way he was acting when he was actually talking to that woman. So because there's different ways that you act with different groups. And that's
exactly.
okay. If you're a black kid and you're listening to this and you haven't decided I'm a complete racist yet, get a good education, speak properly when you're in school, write the words properly, and then
and
be
don't
how you
have
want to
sex-
be with your friends. Right?
Yeah.
If you talk how you want to talk, dress how you want to dress, but dress for the
That's what I
occasion that you're going to. And when you're going to school, go and get the education because it might seem stupid at the time, but it's going to help you in the long run.
and don't knock anyone up.
Well,
Oh, shit. Is that what I did wrong?
now you're just being racist, assuming that black people are having.
No, just in general. Just don't get knocked up and don't knock anyone up and just
Too late.
She's quoting the Ben
Where
Shapiro.
were you when I was
Yeah.
19?
She's quoting the Ben Shapiro thing when he says the only thing you have to be or do to be successful in America
to
and
get
not
out
live
of
It is true.
poverty.
It is true. He is right. And I'm
Finish
not just
high
saying
school.
that to because we're both part of the Zionist conspiracy. Well, think about it. Like, think about the decisions you made. Like, if you just kept the same job, you would progress. Now there are exceptions to the rule where you have like a shitty job where they won't like if you work for Walmart or you work for McDonald's or one of the fast food chains. There's not a lot of room for growth unless you're an extremely exceptional performer and they want to make you a manager because you just show a great aptitude. But for the most part, you're just going to be another name tag. You're not going to mean anything in places like that. And you're not going to get promoted. You're not going to get raises. It's just a place to work to get some job experience, to get a better job. But when you get that better job, if you stay and you work and you work and you work, most people won't have to change jobs, and they will move themselves up to the middle class if they're poor.
Even somewhere like McDonald's, if you show initiative and you actually do work, you can move up to a managerial position within a year.
You can. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that for most people,
so even within those ones, you still can.
Yeah.
It's with Walmart.
So
it's
I was
possible.
It's a little harder there. In my experience than it is in other jobs.
dickish.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was actually listening to Freakonomics today, and they were talking about is the American dream dead? And this idea that if you were born into poverty, can you get yourself out of it? And so they were saying a bunch of statistics. So interestingly, they interviewed some people, and majority of them did say that no, they don't think the American dream is dead, and if you do work hard enough, you can make it. But they were showing statistics from...
Still echoing, eh?
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I get you. I am.
She yells. She speaks very loud into her microphone.
Headphones and my microphone is muted, so she's just yelling into her microphone. It's echoing from the room into itself.
Right. She's yelling. Wow. Yeah, she's yelling so loud it's echoing back.
Okay, I'll try not to
through one microphone.
Am I still yelling?
No.
Okay. So yeah, they said that.
And then she goes back.
So the way that they considered the statistic was that they looked at the percentage of people who are born in the lowest quartile. Why are you laughing?
The lowest what?
The lowest, like the people who are born in the lowest percent, like like quartiles. Like,
okay.
Yeah, the percentile.
I thought you said fertile. I was like, what?
No,
I heard portile or something like that too.
Yes. Like in the lowest, like
the lowest income percentile. Yeah.
Yes, and how many, and the percentage that make it to the top. So apparently, the overall rate for
that's a big jump. So
yes, that is a pretty big jump. But so for the U.S., it's about 7%. For the UK, it's 11%, and for Canada, it's 13% of children.
That's more than I thought. Wow.
Yeah,
it's actually a really good percentage.
So of children who are born in the bottom and actually make their way to the top. But apparently there's also disparities within states and within provinces and within. Like in Atlanta and in Detroit, it's really low. And then in
Detroit, it's low? The city that crumbled under its union and tax regulations?
But in like Iowa, apparently it's in Ohio, it's apparently not so bad.
Weird.
So that was one thing. And so the other thing that they found, which was the other biggest correlation to working yourself out of poverty or not being, or like a lower percentage of children who grow up working their way out of poverty, was not only being in single parent houses, but being in neighborhoods that had more single parent households. Right. So
that was one of the big problems that I noticed when I was growing up, because I've lived in poor neighborhoods where it was a bunch of married families, and poor neighborhoods where it was single mothers, because they're pretty much like no single fathers.
But even if you are living in a 2-parent household, if you're in a neighborhood where there's more single moms, your chance of working your way out of poverty is lower.
Well, there was a study. Your influence
by your friends.
Yeah, your influence is something like 60% from your friends and your teachers.
Yes, and your parents. Actually, your
60% comes from them coming from home. Is outside influence.
60% from your friends.
I think there's a study that said that the neighborhood that you go to school in has more influence on you than your parents.
60 is more than 40.
Yeah, because you spend more time with your friends. I know numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're, but that was the thing. Like I lived in East St. Louis, and kids ran the streets. Now, in the two-parent areas, kids ran the streets too, but we ran the streets differently. But, like, there were fights, and there was nothing you could do. Like, the street lights came on, cops would, like, pick up kids and take them home, and they'd be back out an hour later in the single-parent area. In the two-parent area, the lights came on, everybody disappeared because you're going to get your ass whipped if you're not home.
Yeah.
The single mother situation was not quite the same because usually they were working. So there'd be nobody home. Or the kid would be staying with their grandma because the kid's working, and grandma's old and she can't really tell him what to do because the kid's not going to listen to the old lady in a wheelchair. But lots of things, a lot more criminal shit that we did because we thought we could get away with it in the single parent area. Bad influence, very bad influence. That's why everyone should live in a nice Jewish neighborhood. Did she mute herself?
Well, I'm eating chips, so I don't want you guys to
Oh.
hear me crunching. But yeah, I grew up in a nice Jewish neighborhood, so that's probably why I have a Valley Girl accent.
The one downside of growing up in a Jewish neighborhood, though, is it'll make you liberal. I don't know why, because Jewish families are very conservative in all of their practices, but then they end up going liberal at the voting booth.
It's because the oppression is forcing the Jewish kids to rebel.
Well, my theory is that the Jews vote liberal because, like, if anyone's going to throw us in gas chambers, it's going to be them. So let's make sure we're voting for them, and we keep them happy. Maybe they won't kill us, because that's where all the bigots are, as we've clarified.
The left?
Yep, they're all on the left. The real bigots. I mean, like, come on, the KKK. What do they really do anymore? And when the KKK was a violent arm, a violent political arm, it was on the left. Funny how that works, huh?
Were they?
Yeah, they were Democrats.
It's just gonna ask the same thing.
They were Democrats. They were actually the militant arm to keep black people from voting so that the Democrats could hold the South. But we don't talk about that history.
No, doesn't fit with my narrative.
Exactly. No, we're just gonna call everything right-wing bigotry. Like, all the racists are right-wing, even though if you look at history, the right wing has always been the ones fighting against the left's bigotry. Somehow they're the good people. I don't get it. Somehow they lost all the fights, yet they still got to write the history. I don't fucking get
I thought, like, historically the right was more like the religious type, and it's only like in recent times that it's become more about white superiority for some reason.
Well, see, it's not about white superiority, and it was never really a religious thing either. They just accused them of being religious, but there was a poll in the early 2000s, and like,
that's why I asked.
70% of people who said they were Christian hadn't gone to church in over 5 years.
It's cultural Christianity. It's different.
Yeah, they just claim to be Christian, but they don't go to church. They don't read the Bible. They don't even own Bible. Like, something like 80% of them didn't even own a single Bible.
If you base your morals on something like that, like Christianity, like whether you're talking about abortion or whatnot, if you're basing it on that and that's why you're conservative because of God, then you're a Christian.
Right. Well,
that's all I was getting at.
Yeah. But that isn't actually, like, being conservative is kind of like, well, it does make sense to marry one person and raise children together. And they're like, okay, then you're a Christian. It's like, why? Because marriage is in the Bible. So it's kind of, doesn't really make it Christian. But I mean, a lot of the values of the United States and Canada and Western Europe are based loosely in Christianity.
You don't really hear about a lot of conservative atheists.
They're out there. Well, you are okay. A log cabin Republican. There's thousands of them.
I believe it. You just don't.
That is the gay Republican Party, right? Like, we have our little subgroups.
Logs because like poop.
I don't know, but it's the log cabin conservatives, right? The log cabin Republicans, and those are the gay conservatives. It's the gay conservative caucus. Nobody has a problem with them. They're not excluded from anything. People aren't throwing Bibles at them and telling them they're going to go to hell. Like, that shit's a rare thing that half those people aren't even Republicans anyway, or conservative. It's just one of those narratives the left pushes on you. Like, if you're conservative, you're Christian. So if you're atheist, you can't be conservative. It's like, yeah, you really can. Nothing's stopping you from having
You
the
can't
same
just don't
values.
No, apparently the double
hear
speak
about
does.
them. They're not as loud.
Well, as I said, they're actually the majority, but they don't go out in the streets and yell at everybody about how they're bigots.
Yeah, that's what I
So
mean.
you don't know
not
they're
loud,
there.
so you don't know about them.
As they say, it's the silent majority. That's how well, wasn't a majority, but that's how Trump got elected. But it was very upsetting because I heard a lot of people during the election saying they were going to vote for like Gary Johnson. It was like, oh well, Trump's going to win the state anyway. It's like, well, he could have had the popular vote from the people who told me they were going to vote third party because they knew Trump was going to win the state, and they're trying to get it to where there's like a mainstream third party candidate later down the line. I was like, yeah, but not that guy. That guy's fucking stoned 24/7. That isn't really the guy to be like, oh, look at how many votes this guy got. That's not a good thing. I don't remember who his replacement was though. But you guys want me to read more of this article?
I forgot what the article's about.
How all conservatives are bigots, and we need a meaningful dialogue about how to tell
Please
conservatives they're
continue.
bigots.
I would like to I'm interested to know as to how.
I'm going to jump to the second point. I'm not going to read the rest of that shit because it's basically let's
We
see
covered it.
if anyone on our side is equipped to do that, it's us. We, the privileged, are the ones who can have those conversations with people who don't want to destroy our lives. Basically saying that people are apologists for bigotry, right? So you with your white privilege can tell the other white people to stop being bigots because you're white. It's basically what that first point was. Conservatives who decry bigotry, police your own. If you really are against bigotry and hate crimes, it's not enough to sit around being against them. It's not enough to sit around complaining that liberals don't want to have meaningful dialogue to understand your position. If you refuse to take action against bigotry because people aren't asking nicely enough, you aren't actually anti-bigotry. Let me repeat that. If you refuse to take action against bigotry because people aren't asking nicely enough, you aren't actually anti-bigotry. I don't understand. I'm confused.
She doesn't quite understand what the term bigotry means. So she's going to continue.
People are being too rude to you, and when I guess.
Well, if
you can't handle people being blunt, then you're not actually anti-bigotry.
Oh, no, if you're not constantly accusing people of being bigots, come on. No, she's saying if you're not constantly accusing people of being bigots, then you're not actually against bigotry.
Right. That's what I'm getting from it. But hold on. Because her previous point was that we're bigotry apologists, right? And we want liberals to have a discussion with us to explain how we're not bigots, right? So, like, I'm not for bigotry. So I would like to explain to you how I'm not for bigotry, but why I disagree with your point, and the liberals refuse to talk to us. And then her response is, if you refuse to take action against bigotry because people aren't asking nicely enough, you aren't actually anti-bigotry. So it's basically saying, you have a different opinion and a different approach, but if you don't do what I want you to do, then you're still a bigot. It seems like what she's saying.
Well, I kind of took it a little different, but close anyway.
Well, because her previous point was that we're bigot apologists, and because she says
she's saying we're refusing to talk about it at all because of the way that they present it. As in, they come up to us and they say that we're bigots, and we go, "Well, no, we're not. I really don't want to talk to you because of the way you said it."
Well, she said
that doesn't make us anti-bigotry because we're not engaging in the conversation. We have to engage in the conversation regardless of how they address us.
Right. She says, it's not enough to sit around complaining that liberals don't want to have meaningful dialogue to understand your position. That's what she said before that. Right? Yeah. That's what led right into that. Okay, so basically you're saying, you yell at me and say I'm a bigot, and I say I'm not a bigot, this is why I'm not a bigot, and then you start yelling so that I can't explain to you why I'm not a bigot, makes me a bigot. Seems like that's what she's saying. So basically I just have to agree.
Bigot anyway.
Right, and so I just have to agree when she accuses me of being a bigot.
What made you ever think that you didn't just have to sit there and agree? Don't you know the definition of a bigot? And you're clearly
I know the definition of dialogue, so...
yeah, it's a one-sided conversation where someone tells you what to do and how to think, right? Dialogue.
Oh, here you go. You're gonna
Because-
love this, Loki.
Because
Loki.
writers, they write dialogue, so it's one person creating the narrative for two people to communicate.
Here, Loki, this one's just for you. Liberals tone policing marginalized people because you don't think their activism is polite enough, and also Martin Luther King, and also you'll be glad to support them once they calm down and act rational. That goes for you too.
I'm gonna need you to read that back to me.
What?
She's giving an example. Liberals tone policing marginalized people because you don't think their activism is polite enough. I.e., when you say Black Lives Matter attacking people because they're white or Trump supporters is wrong, then you are not anti-bigotry. Basically, you're supporting bigotry by saying that Black Lives Matter being violent is bad. And also Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King believed in the nonviolent principle, which was very effective because that's when TV first took off. And so on TVs nationwide, you saw black people getting attacked who were just sitting there or standing there and not doing anything, getting hit with fire hoses and dogs. The problem is Black Lives Matter are the ones who are now attacking people who are just sitting there.
See, here's my take on the situation. I kind of understand why they're starting to turn on Martin Luther King, of all people.
I don't.
Because he was integrative. He wanted to work with races of other, like he wanted to work with white people. That's why Malcolm X was kind of against him.
Right, yeah,
Malcolm X
he's
was
an
all
Uncle Tom.
like, no, yeah,
By
he's
today's
an Uncle
standards,
Tom.
he's fucking Uncle Tom.
Malcolm X was all, no, you have to just stay with black people. Martin
Wasn't
Luther
Malcolm
King
X
was
also
no.
like Black Panthers and Muslim?
Oh yeah, Malcolm X
when
was like
he became worse when he turned Muslim.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But let's not talk about
Why
that.
not?
no. Here's the thing: is Malcolm
Okay,
X
There's
was
an
killed by
interesting
Muslims
wing of it.
for Malcolm X turned nonviolent and was like, maybe that's not the best approach, and then he was killed by Muslims for it. I like Malcolm X. I do believe that violence does have its place in time.
I have seen.
I believe that he was a little too preemptive. Like he wasn't advocating violence, but he's basically like, if a white like how Martin Luther King was like, if they attack you, just stand there and take it. We will win without violence. Malcolm X was like, if they hit you, you hit that motherfucker back, and I agree with that position. But they called him a dangerous, violent militant. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you assault somebody, they have full right to assault you back.
Yes.
Well, it's not assault, then it's defense.
It is defense.
Right, and that was Malcolm X's stance.
And
they called him a violent militant.
Don't want to get into the religious aspect of it, because
basically he was deemed a terrorist because he wanted people to defend themselves.
We could get into the nuance of the situation, like the barricades and the not allowing police to enter neighborhoods to investigate crimes. That Malcolm X was encouraging.
I'm good with
Black
that.
Panthers were
I'm good with that too.
Yes, but then they would insist that if the police officer pushed past them, they had the right to assault the officer, and therefore it was just self-defense.
I agree. As I said, you were watching on the TV fucking fire hoses and attack dogs and black people just getting the shit beat out of them. I wouldn't want them in my neighborhood if they were doing that to me either. That's like saying like before they actually cranked up the fucking incinerators in Nazi Germany, that the Jews should have just let the Nazis do whatever they want.
Not quite. There isn't the same level of oppression.
It didn't get to the same level. Right, well, I'm saying,
do you think it would?
But wasn't it okay? Because
there was 3 guys in Texas who a black kid talked to a white woman, not even disrespectfully. They beat the shit out of him and drug him behind his truck. But the headline the next day was "Boys will be boys," and it was kind of like, yeah, this happened. No one cares.
But again, what was that, like last week? Texas hasn't changed much since.
Well, no, I'm saying this was the shit that was going on, and it was being reported on as though it wasn't even a big deal.
Okay, but weren't there also black leaders who were asking for more policing in their neighborhoods because...
Not at that time. About 7 to 15 years later, yes. Then when it was desegregation and the cops weren't beating the shit out of black people for being black and standing in the wrong place, then, because that was hold on. The 70s.
Hold on. Which time period are you referring to?
The 50s and the 60s.
Okay.
You're talking about in the 70s when the crack epidemic hit and gang violence was shooting up as like actual violence. Because before, a lot of the street gangs started out as protection against the racist cops who were coming in there and attacking people. So they started out as a protection to keep the cops from,
Okay.
basically grabbing a black guy and saying, yeah, this is the guy we're looking for.
Okay, so I would like to finally get to my point. I think the reason that they're going after Martin Luther King at this point in time is because, one, Martin Luther King was incredibly good. He was incredibly influential. He spoke very well. He led a proper movement, and he achieved all of his goals.
Too rational.
And he achieved all of his goals. They can't have him as a standalone piece because now they're contrary to all of his goals. He said, judge
Exactly.
people by the content of their character, not the color of their fucking skin, which is completely contrary to every form of narrative that the feminists or the SJWs have. And they need to now demonize him and shovel him off somewhere. Just shuffle him off.
So I said the Democrat Party has never changed.
Just completely forget everything Martin Luther King has ever said that was influential or positive in any way whatsoever. But that man got what he wanted. He suffers some whiteness. He took the non-aggressive approach and had a dare to dream that one day there will be a black president.
Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr. only supported JFK or Martin Luther King Sr. only supported JFK because they arrested Martin Luther King Jr. and called his dad and said he will never be let out of prison unless you give your support to JFK for president. But JFK is a great guy, apparently, somehow. Even though he also went to Nazi Germany.
Celebs.
He went to Nazi Germany and said that people were jealous of the Aryans because the Aryans feel they're superior, but the Aryans are right. They are superior.
He was the one that was shot, right?
Yes, he was.
Guys,
in the head.
Yeah, he was banging
by a Marine.
I love to argue perspective.
I know.
I know it sounds absurd today, but it didn't sound so absurd 10 years ago. It sounded even less absurd 20 years ago. And considering back during the time of Hitler's rise, most of Western powers supported him. So
I'm not saying they didn't, but at the time it was FDR, and I fucking hate FDR too.
And fucking hindsight is always 2020, is it not?
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, so hindsight is always 2020. We can learn from our mistakes. We can definitely look at them.
I think the majority of people back then would not have been feeling the same way, but the media gets to control the narrative. The problem today, the reason we have such a problem with the mainstream media and such a distrust, is they no longer control the narrative. We now have the internet.
The next book club is just going to be so good.
Are we controlling the narrative? Is that what we're doing? Are we slowly?
That's the thing is, no little centralized group can control the narrative anymore, unless they get rid of the internet or they take over and sanction the internet and they start censorship on the internet. That's my big concern, because then they can control the narrative again. Then people like FDR, who believe in eugenics, and anybody with a handicap or who isn't the right race or has mixed blood isn't allowed to reproduce, which was what he wanted eventually. He was a big supporter of Margaret Sanger, who was also a eugenicist, just like Adolf Hitler.
And he believed Hitler had a lot of Parenthood?
Yes, she is. And they had a lot of really good ideas, according to each other. They all believed that eugenics was the future.
Apparently, birth control was a way to
anyway,
eradicate.
It is to eradicate minorities and the poor.
When you get stuck in an echo chamber, then yes, all of your ideas think they're fantastic.
It backfired on them because the rich and the educated were the ones who stopped having kids.
When the media is on board with it, at that time, the media was like, oh, Germany's not so bad. Germany has good ideas. Look at the good things Germany is doing. Adolf Hitler was Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Right? They control the narrative, and that was the only place you got your information. People weren't traveling around the world like they are today. It's a lot easier to be mobile today than it was then. And so that's where you got your information, was from the media. So whatever the media told you was pretty much what you took. They weren't more honest.
Propaganda was a lot easier to push.
They weren't more honest back then. It was just easier for them to get away with it.
Why don't I think they got away with fucking tons over this last election?
People called them out, but too many people didn't care. That's how I see this last election. Because I mean, if you look at the internet, there are plenty of people who are pointing out all the shit they're doing. Well, that's the thing. We need alternatives, and the majority of Americans are still in that mindset that the mainstream media is your go-to source. Like my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, they're a little bit older than I am. They still go to the news. Like they go to Fox News. Well, none of them go. Not my family. They're all liberals. They all go to like MSNBC and CNN,
Okay.
and that's where they get all their
Can
information
someone
from.
tell me a real conservative news source? Because Fox News doesn't count. They make conservative news sources look silly.
I don't
They
know. I was
do.
going to say,
They do.
as for the alternative news
Rebel,
sources, it
probably.
Rebels
seems
New,
like they
online.
just take up
Not
whatever
mainstream.
position, the opposite position of the mainstream media.
Right. I
Pretty
actually
much,
think
yeah.
that they are owned by a left media source just to make the
They
left
are.
look better by fucking making the right seem retarded. And I'm really
Go
tired
Yeah,
of
but
this.
Tucker
look up
Carlson's
Rupert
pretty.
Well,
Murdoch.
one of the
all
main
the
reasons I started my channel is because I was actually talking to kids in college, and like I'm severely older than them, and I was sitting around talking about Trump, and people were continuously debating it and being like, "Well, Trump said this, Trump said this," and I'm like, "No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't." And most of the time, I'd be like, "I watched that speech. That's not what he said," and I just phrased it properly or found the quote of what he said, and they all look really disappointed in themselves. I'm like, "Where are you guys getting this information?" And like the news. I'm like, mainstream news, like CNN, Fox. They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, you guys know the news lies to you, and everyone looked at me like I'm fucking crazy. People forget. Apparently, there is a cycle, and like every 5 years, the generation forgets or stops giving a shit. Like the younger generation don't remember that the news lies to you at every opportunity. They don't know about like proper framing, or like all the bullshit that they fucking spew at you. And that's kind of why I want to start this channel, so I can slowly pick up on situations and reframe them properly, point out improper framing, and occasionally just make fun of idiots.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just wanted to mock the shit out of stuff, and it's pretty much all I'm doing.
Oh, as long as it works.
So far, not too bad.
So
people don't seem to really care for my straight up jokes as much as they do for me, like tearing apart articles like you're doing here.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're sorry for stealing your idea.
No. You guys, I'd probably be doing it longer than me. I don't know.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure even this idea came from like what Sargon does with what's
This
his
week
thing?
in stupid.
How dare
This
you?
Week in
Quit
Stupid.
accusing me of theft.
You're a Jew.
No, I
so
just
you know
I
what?
think
Did
the
you steal
problem
everything?
is there's an endless supply of these articles, and they're
That's
just
true.
everywhere. Like I just have to go into Facebook for 5 seconds, and I'm literally like just
Literally
infested
shaking.
with.
Well, dumpster fire originally was just we're just gonna shit talk whatever the fuck was going on that week. But we really didn't have shit to talk about, so started just snatching up articles and said, "Fuck it, we'll just do that."
One of the reasons I choose articles is because you don't get hit for copyright. You don't have to put fair use at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Which the whole reason, because this is my live stream idea, it got moved because in the election, Fox News copyright struck me, and YouTube took my live stream capabilities away.
Huh.
That's why we're here.
I wonder how that works though. Like we've gotten copy stricken, but our live stream ability hasn't been taken away.
You haven't gotten copyright striked for a live stream.
Yeah, that's the thing. Fucking
Mine was
HBO
in a live stream.
HBO and Discovery Channel keeps hitting me with. Actually, why has nobody watched my Bigfoot video? Like, come on, guys, get on your shit. Start
It's
watching my
Bigfoot.
videos.
Dude, I'm way behind. I'm sorry. I'm getting there. I swear.
No, I'm just kidding around. Like 200, 300 people watch that video, and most of the time people are like, "You're dumb. This is stupid. Go away." And it was the first video I actually put together.
So I mean, in terms of events that went on this week, how do you guys feel about the people who are flying into Washington to protest Trump and destroy a city they don't live in?
I
All the
feel very
unemployed
good.
people?
I feel very good that they're supporting the economy.
By destroying cars and businesses and bashing in windows?
And taking away millionaires'
Morons.
money.
What are you smacking?
Packing.
It's a cigarette. It's a pack of
Curious to
cigarettes.
see,
You just keep slapping a pack of cigarettes to pass
Why
the
are you
tobacco.
smoking?
How did the bikers go down? Because I heard they were rolling into town.
They may have been there to beat up the SJWs.
Well, they were. I know they were there to be like, bring it on, little bitches. Let's see
Oh,
how
Russell
fucking tough
said
you are
your
than when
singing
we're
is
here
good.
face to face.
Oh yeah,
Still
you
working
saw
on
Never
that.
mind. Yeah. I like reading out of the chat from time to time. Anyways, yeah. So I don't know why there wasn't a lot more just like street brawling. It's very upsetting.
Probably because they didn't want to fuck with the bikers.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was hoping the bikers would be rolling around just looking for them, seeing wherever they're getting stupid, and just fuck them
They
up.
were. They just weren't dumb enough to take a swing at them first. You know what I mean?
Right. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna go back into this here a little.
Hold on.
Oh,
Am I
go
still
ahead.
on? Okay, sorry. I keep forgetting whether I left my mic on or off. Crap. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh no. Okay. There's actually a whole series of videos of SJWs going to protest and yell stupid shit. And there's just this one video compilation of SJWs starting shit with bikers. It's fantastic because they stand up to the biker. The moment the biker gets even remotely serious, they back the fuck away and start yelling for the police. It's hilarious to fucking watch.
Oh,
And I
I bet.
recommend everyone go out and fucking find that video. Like the moment the bikers get off their bikes, they fucking bolt and they run and they yell for help. I've seen a guy yell for rape. Like literally, a guy stand up, and the moment the biker gets up, he starts running away yelling rape. It's fucking hilarious. Sorry, you can go back to the article now. I just wanted to bring that up.
If you really want to bridge these divides, you need to start initiating dialogue with people on your own side. There has to be someone you know whom you consider to hold bigoted views by your standards, a friend, a neighbor, a relative, someone who will talk with and listen to you. And don't try to get all smart and say, my
Turn
liberal
against
friend
your
is
loved ones.
bigoted against working class
Guys,
white men.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to stop this again. Google defines bigoted, or a bigot is somebody who doesn't tolerate other people's opinions. For them,
So you mean this feminist who is
project
saying,
hardcore.
don't tell me your opinion, go tell someone else your opinion, and tell them how your opinion should be my opinion.
No, but the wording is go find somebody with bigoted opinions. So she's saying go out and find people who I know she's technically saying go out and find people who hold these contradictory ideas to her leftist ideology, but she's calling it bigoted. So go out.
Go find people who are intolerant to your opinion and then yell at them.
No, she's saying go
Yes,
find
well,
people
here's
with
the thing,
differing
Chris,
opinions and show them how much more tolerant you are by telling them that their opinions are bigoted.
Yeah, so do what we do, because she says, don't try to get all smart and say, my liberal friend is bigoted against working class white men. Right? So she even says, don't go trying to say the left is bigoted. We're not bigoted. Go find a conservative who's bigoted.
Right. Go
They're all
find somebody.
Project hardcore.
Yeah, go find somebody who's bigoted. Who because we're not bigoted. We totally have we totally tolerate other people's opinions. In fact, we're also calling to action that everybody go out and try and fucking yell at everybody who's got differing opinions of ours. But we're not the bigoted ones, guys. Just remember, we are the ones that accept other people's opinions.
Right. Just because they believe your opinion is wrong, and therefore you shouldn't tell them your opinion because they don't care what your opinion is because it's wrong because it's not their opinion, does not make them bigots. Unless you read the definition of bigotry.
But I kind of want to retweet this article in full support. I want these people to come talk to me because this is my bread and butter in daily life.
They
will
won't.
come.
They're telling you to go talk to other people who are more bigoted than you, so that you can be an anti-bigot like them. That's what
They
this
love
whole
to break
article
it
is
with
about.
the dictionary definitions until it comes to their side, in which case then that's no longer what the word means.
Exactly, like fascism.
Yeah.
Like it's right wing. Like that's not in the definition at all.
The word socialist is completely not within Nazism. Not at all. Nazis it's their own thing. It means something else in German. You're probably thinking of the German spelling. There is no S in it whatsoever.
Right. So here, who does this describe? Conservatives or liberals? Authoritarian who wants to silence dissenting opinions.
Isn't
Does
this
that
entire
sound like
article
liberals
about
today?
silencing
Or
dissenting opinions?
conservatives? Exactly. But that's the definition of fascism. Yet somehow, fascism has to be right wing. Somehow, even though the censorship is all coming from the left. Somehow, makes perfect sense. In case you guys haven't noticed,
It's not censorship when they do it, which is kind of back to my other point.
Right into fascism. Right into fascism.
It's not according to them, it's not censorship because they're just censoring you to make sure that other people's sensible sensibilities or delicate sensibilities don't get offended. So therefore, you are not using free speech, you're actually using hate speech. And hate speech is okay to censor, but this is completely not censorship, guys.
Exactly.
Not censorship at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I think my friend called it mental gymnastics. I think a lot of people actually call it mental
Yeah.
gymnastics.
I would like to purchase an argument.
You have $3. Make your best.
I thought it was 78 cents. Well,
The dollar, yes.
Yeah.
So, how much is my opinion worth if her opinion is only worth 73 cents to my dollar?
$1.
Anyway,
Don't make me do math. I'm a woman.
Well, what's your opinion? I thought you had something to say.
Who?
You?
About this
you,
article?
you walked in and you said you have an opinion to share. Or
Basically.
you want to buy an opinion. That's normally like a joke.
Oh, no, I
towards,
was
I
just
have an
joking.
opinion to share. Like, let me
It
let me give you my
it
2
was a
cents.
reference. Did you not get the Monty Python reference?
No.
That was
No.
buy an argument. I would like to buy an argument. It's the Ministry of Argumentation. It's totally not what it's called.
No, it's not what it's called, but I know the bit.
Yeah. The skit is I'd like to buy an argument, and
You
the
just
thing is
fucked it
no,
up.
you don't.
I already paid. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Can't you take up a contradictory point to everything I say? Yes, I can. No, you can't.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, is it? No, we're saying you just fucked it up. We're not.
We know we get the reference.
Yeah.
But that's not.
I
That's,
was
that's not an
supposed to play
opinion.
the role.
You said I'd like to buy an opinion. The line is I'd like to
Oh,
buy.
no, I said I'd like to purchase an argument. I'd like to
No.
buy an argument.
Said opinion.
You
No,
said
I said
opinion.
an argument.
We all know you said opinion. That's why we're all confused.
Dude, go back.
Go back in time. All right.
You go
Like,
back. We
I'll
already
be
know.
Guys, I'll be back.
Okay. Instead of immediately getting all hashtag not all conservatives, recognize that there are some hashtag yes some conservatives who do embrace and support bigotry. The swastika spray painting Zeke Heilers in suits are just the most visible and obvious examples.
That's always
the
their
moment.
fucking argument. Like,
Yeah, but here's the thing is, for me, I am a neocon. The alt-right, in its infancy, was created to be anti-neocon. So they're against me. So obviously I'm against them.
no, but every
So-
time you like show up statistics, they like are. So are you saying this doesn't like if you say yes, it's not necessarily 1 in 4 women get raped on campus. Are you saying that rape doesn't happen? Like that's their go-to
Exactly.
argument. Like as soon as you like just critique it,
Yep.
He's yelling at her in the background. No, but basically they're
you're
like,
muted, Loki. You're muted.
there is less prejudice
No, we're not.
Sorry,
gonna-
sorry,
on the
sorry,
conservative
guys.
side.
Guys,
I-
can we
What?
please make the t-shirts? Can we get the hashtag not all t-shirts?
Not
G-
all
g-
what?
No, not
They're
all
already for
anything.
sale. If it says not all, that's already for sale. That's already
That's
out.
not copyrighted. I'll make my own. I'll use my own font.
Okay.
I will put it on a goddamn hat or on the fucking wristband. I would like
Buy
to
like
fucking
a
tattoo
white
it on my finger.
blank T-shirt and just get a black magic marker, write it on yourself.
Oh no! Trigger here wants to start his own SJW t-shirts thing. He wants to do a whole
Not
Patreon thing.
SJW.
It's an anti-SJW thing. He wants all
It
the
is
bigger,
not an
all the
anti-SJW
YouTubers to get
thing.
together and have him produce the t-shirts, and he guarantees that they get
Yeah.
a lot of the money out of it.
But
Yeah.
okay,
That's
but
valid.
no,
It-
this is a common trend that I'm seeing. Like it's with rapes. If you say yes, Trump's not racist, are you saying that racism doesn't exist? And,
Right. Yeah,
like-
it's moving the goalpost. That's all it is. It's-
That is an argumentative
Well,
tactic.
they shift the conversation. I've
policy.
had that happen quite a few times. I think the number one go-to that people will do when I'm discussing with them on the comments, regardless of where it is out of nowhere they'll bring up, well, what do you think about Islam? And they'd be like, where the fuck did that come from?
Fuck
And
Islam.
it's just a way to trap you.
Yeah,
to
like you
bait.
bring
It
up
is. It's-
Islam,
yeah.
and it's like, are you saying all Muslims are terrorists? And it's like, no, we're just talking about Islam as a religion and its relevance.
Ben
I was
Shapiro
never even
talked.
talking about it,
Yeah.
which is why it's so funny that they'll always go to that, because when you're talking about like rape, for example, out of nowhere they'll bring that up. Well, what do you think about this? And it'd be like, what the
You
fuck?
should be like, you mean the roving rape gangs across Europe of Muslims? Or is that the Islam
No,
you're
I
talking
redirect
about?
the conversation back to what we were actually talking about and just point out, no, you can't bait me with that bullshit. Let's get back to the topic.
Well, see, Ben Shapiro talked about this when he had his like 10 points for arguing against liberal, and he's like, when you're a conservative, like George W. Bush is one of the things, and he's like, George W. Bush fucked things up, Reagan fucked things up. You don't have to defend them, and you don't have to defend everything they did. It's like, so like you have a problem with Islam, you don't have to say I'm against Islam. If you know, you don't have to defend everything in Islam. You don't have to attack everything in Islam. You know, there's nothing has to be put into this bubble. Now, me, I'm a George W. supporter, fellow neocons. We got to stick together. But that's one of the things that was like, oh, George W. Bush was a racist. He was a bigot. Like somehow it's supposed to undermine whatever the other point is. They're
they've
trying
been
to
making
change
this
your.
argument against the right forever. Like
They're
they've been
not trying
saying
to
this-
change your mind. They're trying to change the subject because they realize they're losing, and they're trying to draw you away.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a simple way to dismiss all of the anything that's actually applicable without actually having to put any thought into it.
Right. Well, they realize that they're like what was it, Lauren Southers and the South African guy? I forget. Fucking Trevor Noah. Is that his name? The one who took over the Daily Show.
Oh yeah.
Like everybody pointed out, was like, okay, they're like, oh, Trevor owned her, and like you watch it, I'm like, okay, I try to look at it from a non-biased position, but there's no
that
way.
was Tommy Lauren, and yeah, she.
Tommy Lauren, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. Whatever, blonde bitch. There's happy.
Yeah, she like actually addressed everything, and people were
Right, and he just changed the subject. Okay, well, what about this then? Well, what about this? Every time she made a point, instead of addressing the point, he realized he had no point or response to make.
And shifted the goalpost.
Yeah, and he just fucking changed the subject. Like, no, now you have to defend this. Nope, stop defending that. Defend this.
Do you guys know that's actually the argumentative tactic that 95% of the people I argue with
But
have?
ironically,
Yes, yes, that's
That-
our
I
point.
agree.
They don't make the
People
argument.
totally don't need to react to what I just said.
That's what we said.
no, but they were accusing her of being the one who did that. Like when you read the comments to
I'm
that,
being oppressed today.
we
and the
all
Daily
we all
Show-
agreed with you and then moved on. Stop crying.
and the Daily Show like loved that bit. Like they kept reposting it because I follow them just to see the bullshit that they post, and he like kept like watch us like school Tommy Lauren and accusing her of changing the subject when she was on point addressing everything he threw at her.
I had this argument. Like, I can't remember what it was about though. But oh no, yeah, it was about welfare, and I was talking about how job creation in a two-parent household would be the best deterrent for welfare. And they're like, "You're just changing the subject." It's like, no, I'm explaining my position on the subject. And then they accuse you of doing that, but then they jump off and go to something that's completely unrelated. And then you're like, okay, now you're doing it. They're like, no, I'm not. Because there are things like
talking
you
to
can't
people
put
about
everything in a
abortion,
bubble, right?
And they jump
When they
into
have,
human
yeah,
rights.
when you talk about abortion, they put everything in a bubble, and nothing else outside of that bubble matters. Like the man who is the father may want the child. Like, well, it's in the woman's body, so the man doesn't matter. It's like, well, it kind of does. Like, it seems like it should. Seems kind of like an important detail.
Yeah.
You're talking, an inconvenience of 9 months versus the entire life.
Well,
the
conception
child.
is completely mutual. It's just the incubation that is exclusively to
Right,
the
and
female.
so after 9 months, if you can completely give it up, it's like, so what is the issue there? If there's no health concern, but the man doesn't matter. I'm saying if the father wanted it, there's no health concern to the mother. It seems like that should be a part of what's going on there. And
No,
they're
he
like,
should
no,
just have
you're
to pay the
changing the
bills.
subject. It's got to be in the bubble. If it's not in the bubble, then you're changing the subject. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you made the bubble so small that there's no way to see it other than the way that you're talking about it, because you basically said, well, if you try to explain the biology of how life is created,
I'm
you're
not
outside the
gonna
bubble.
engage in this conversation. I refuse.
Well,
let you
somebody
trigger me.
else brought it up. No, I'm saying is you shrink the bubble down, whatever the topic is, so small that any point that's added, you're like, that's outside of
Just-
what we're talking
Just
about.
do it in the first 3 fucking months. If you're gonna do it in the 3 months.
We're not talking about abortion. We're using it as an example. Stop
Okay.
getting triggered. But I'm saying they shrink the bubble
I thought that
down
was
so
my
small.
Oh, I thought we were talking about keeping it. If the guy wanted to keep it, and
Right, that's
why I was
what
throwing
I'm
in
saying. Yeah.
At the very least, he should have to, like, if he decided he wanted it, he would have to pay all her medical bills and all her expenses for
I'm
that
completely
time.
fine with that. That's 100%. I mean, obviously, he should be able to be financially stable enough to take care of the kid,
yeah,
because it's kind of a non-argument if he isn't,
Yeah.
right? Well, that's what I mean. Is like you try to bring up something that's adjacent to that is an influential thing in that situation, and they're like, no, you're moving the goalpost. But then they'll do something like, talking about ISIS and how ISIS is a problem. Like George W. Bush started the war in Iraq. George W. Bush did the Patriot Act, and you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with ISIS? Right? And it's not, you know
Well,
what I mean?
the
Like,
Patriot Act was meant to infringe on all of our rights to privacy, which don't exist, by the way. That's not a thing. And it made all the ISIS feel
it
uncomfortable.
didn't.
and-
When
and it
Obama
made-
expanded it, it did that. All right? God damn it. Stop blaming Bush for Obama's fucking shit.
Oh, it's like I remember when they wanted to bring put in CCTV cameras in the States like they did with in London, and people were like,
yeah,
"Oh, my
yeah.
privacy!" And it's like, what fucking privacy? You're on the street and everybody has
Yeah,
cell
you're-
phones.
Public domain. Sorry, right? Well,
Yeah.
there's they in New York and Chicago, they have boomerangs and security TVs that the cops have like the links into. They're on like the street lights and all that stuff. But they boomerang is a shot detector, so they can triangulate the position and distance and even the caliber of the gun fired to know where gunshots are. So they don't have to wait for the call because too many people in the gang-ridden environment won't call the cops because they're afraid of retribution. So they put these things in so the cops show up even though nobody calls them.
Yeah,
I don't think that's an infringement of your rights, especially if you're the one getting shot. You probably want that.
yeah, no
Just
shit.
saying, you probably want an ambulance to show up whether or not someone calls 911.
No, guys, no.
Plus, it's in public.
I'm a new age. I can meditate my wounds heal. I mean,
Right, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Oh,
We'll drum circle it better.
exactly.
well,
Well, that's what I'm saying, it's like-
guys, don't you know the healing sound frequencies of the lower bass are the sound frequencies of love and harmony and unity, and if we place somebody within a resonation field of the drum circle, okay, I lost it.
Oh,
It's
right.
gone.
well,
I thought it
Anyways,
was-
what I was going to say, the Patriot Act under George W. Bush was simply collecting the metadata from the cell phone companies. They weren't going around anything. And in order to actually listen to your calls, to look at your messages, they actually had to get a warrant still. Obama was the one who was like, why do we need a warrant? Warrants aren't important. He's the one who actually infringed upon the American rights. Bush was just
yeah,
like
but he
right
can do
on the
no wrong
line.
because he's black.
Yeah, exactly. Bush was just kind of like, let's get as close to that line without crossing it as we can to stop terrorists. Obama was like, who cares about terrorists? Let's stop white people. They're fucking the devil. Let's just monitor everything. Who needs warrants?
What is this new thing that white people are the devil?
It's not new.
Why are they?
Yeah, it's not necessarily new, but
No, it's not. It's part of Nation of Islam. It's what Malcolm X and Black Panthers and that believe. If you're unaware, what they actually believed is that a long time ago there was a mad black scientist who created the white
Oh,
man as a
just-
devil in a laboratory.
We just watched this on Sandre streams. He just made us watch the entire goddamn animated series of how the black scientists took black people and performed eugenics on them until they turned to white people over hundreds of generations.
Yeah, that's what they actually believe. That's why they go around calling us the white devil, because that's what they think we are, literally.
Okay, I think I'm ready to leave the planet.
the planet,
Oh.
yeah.
Well,
according to Trump's speech earlier, we're kicking up our
Yeah.
space program again. So
So
Soon
I
enough.
was-
Going to Mars, bitches.
but then also God is a thing, so that also happened.
right.
And he made a lot of religious references during his
Well, yeah, because he realized that the Christian base voted for him. It's kind of like, let's not alienate those people.
Wow, that's the exact same thing Obama ran on and then very quickly forgot about.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing: is
He was
Trump didn't run
Christian
on-
until he got elected.
Right. Trump was kind of like, oh, I like the Bible. It's like the greatest book. Second greatest book is
It's my
The Art of the
favorite.
Deal.
It's my favorite.
You know,
Yeah,
and he was kind of like, yeah,
I'm telling
because he
you.
was put on the spot. He was kind of like, yeah, it's great. I love the Bible. The Bible's great.
It's great. It's great. It's tremendous.
You know, he was put on the spot, but he didn't run on that campaign.
No, he didn't.
Which is good. I like that. He's like the first atheist president with a Jewish fucking son-in-law and a Jewish convert daughter. It's great. Jews, we're gonna be in that White House soon. It's coming. First Jewish
Yeah.
president.
guys, all
Has
the
there never
Jews
been
and
a
all the
Jew?
white powers.
What?
All the Jews and all the white powers.
So
the
why are
white powers you
people
get from being in the White House.
anti-Israel? And the other thing I wanted to get
We're
at
so on
is
topic today.
I know, right?
why are people anti-Israel, and how do you guys feel about Biden? Because people are talking about Biden 2020.
It's not gonna
Anti-Israel
happen.
because they're pro-Islam. It's that simple. It's the same reason they're against
Yeah.
Christians and they're against. Well, that's it.
It's
You're
like
against
asking why is
Christians.
Muhammad anti-Jew?
Are you sure? I feel like there's more to it.
No, it's basically that.
They
I think
okay.
I
It
think there's
depends on
something
what
about
side, right? So you have your anti-Israel conservatives and your anti-Israel liberals. If you're talking about the liberals, it's because the Jews run all the businesses and the money and the banks, and they're evil, and they're everything that's wrong with capitalism, and they operate within the capitalist system. They have a higher average income, right? They're too successful, right? So you have that communist side where the Jews, or Hitler side where the what was it? The Jews ran the banks and they ruined Germany because they were in charge.
And the war that's been happening.
Well,
for
the
like
thing is, how many do you think
10, 15
know
years.
anything about Palestine? They don't know shit about Palestine. They know Palestine is fighting Israel. Therefore, we're on Palestine's side because the Jews are bad. Right? The Jew hatred goes further than that. I was saying, but even the communists and the Nazis both had their narratives as to why the Jews were bad. And the left has that same narrative. Now, when you go to the right, it's the Jews are inferior.
Yeah.
That's the reason why the poor white trash can't have nice things. Pretty much.
Oh, there's so many layers to all of this. It's so hard to grasp sometimes.
Well, if you look at like the Occupy Wall Street, there's a lot of anti-Semitism going on there. They basically assume that everyone who works on Wall Street and works at the bank is a Jew. All right, and that's why they can't have their hipster lifestyle with like lots of money, even though they don't have jobs. Is because the Jews won't let them.
Well, you have to dehumanize somebody and make them the other before you could lead a campaign against them and rally idiots around you.
Oh yeah, and Jews are white. Don't forget that part.
But interestingly, like
it's so funny how that flips because
Jewish
for a while they're
millennials I know are all liberals, but their parents are all conservatives.
Who?
Like in my neighborhood.
No. See, here's the thing: is their behavior and the culture is very conservative. Their political beliefs are liberal. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
like historically, I'm talking like 60, 70 years. Like since they've been polling by demographics of who votes who, Jews have always voted for the left. Why? I don't know, because the entire Jewish culture is very right.
Not in Canada.
It's very conservative. I don't look up the statistics. It's fucking everywhere. I mean, it's in England. It's in the United States. I'd assume it's going to be in Canada too.
I don't know. Niagara Falls was heavy in Italians and Greeks, so it's no idea about the Jews.
Right. Yeah. That's what I say. It depends on the. I'm sure there's a demographic out there.
They weren't really considered to be white, though. They were considered to be more of like. It used to be like a European. It was like a rosy brown when you referred to it. Same with like French and the Italians and the Greeks. They were like that rosy brown, not white.
Hour and a half in Article 1 still.
No, I'm moving on to 2. A little more upbeat.
One day, guys.
It's good. It means that the conversations are happening on their own.
Sure.
You read one sentence of their bullshit and...
See, now this one isn't bullshit. This one's just one I want to talk about. All right, so this one's from CBS News. Mattis confirmed as defense secretary by the Senate. The Senate on Friday confirmed retired General James Mattis as President Trump's Secretary of Defense in an overwhelming vote. Lawmakers voted 98-1 in favor of Mattis, with Senator Kristen Gillibrand, Democrat from New York, as the lone senator opposing him. Now, I do want to go and talk about her a little bit. I think this is like Siggy's aunt or something. We got to be related.
What?
She's a fucking feminist who one of her campaign promises
works for Rebel Media.
Here, hold on. Let's see.
Wait, no.
I hate this woman.
No, not my aunt. Not even someone I'm related to.
No. I'm saying I would just imagine this is your aunt. Senator Gillibrand is also leading the fight to end the sexual assault epidemic on our college campuses. Along with Senator Claire McCaskill, Kristen has won the support of a broad bipartisan group of Senate co-sponsors for the Campus Accountability and Safety Act, designed to hold colleges accountable and to flip the incentives so that colleges no longer sweep sexual assault under the rug. You know, because 1 and 4. Or are we at 1 and 3?
1 and 3. It's 1 and 3.
1 and 3? Okay.
Oh, is it back down to 1 and 3? Because it went up to 1 and 5 to make it more believable for a while there. Then they came back down again.
They came back down.
Of course.
I actually
it's every 6 seconds now, right?
I haven't been able to figure out whether they mean 1 and 3 a year.
No,
What am I
1 in 3.
going
Like
through?
if you grab 3 random women, 1 in 3 in a lifetime
Will have been
be
raped.
assaulted.
in a
At
lifetime?
college.
At
At
no,
college.
the term is at college. So what about
At
the rest of her
college.
life?
No, they just meant like well, it depends which nutter you're listening to, because some of them it's in a lifetime, others it's at college.
I thought you get looked at and it's rape. So isn't it like 100% of
Yep.
all women
You
everywhere
can be
several
eye
times a
raped,
year?
you can be verbally raped, you can be fart
Did you guys-
raped. There's all
That's right.
sorts.
The fart rape one was great. I just stumbled across that the other day. I'm like, fart rape? Really? Women are now considering it rape when men fart in their genital vicinity.
Sorry,
Oh,
I was
I-
having technical difficulties, so I
'Cause of
didn't
my
hear
IBS, I'm a serial
anything in the
rapist.
last like
You're
minute
not
and
you're
a
not
half.
coming through clearly.
Oh fuck!
Attack.
Okay, so while she's unfucking that, after Mr. Trump took the oath of office Friday afternoon, one of the measures
Okay, I
that
can't
he
hear any.
signed was a waiver approved by Congress that allows Mattis to serve as the Pentagon's chief, exempting him from a current law that limits the appointment of a defense secretary within 7 years of relief from duty. Mattis, 66, testified at his confirmation hearing last week. He defended the importance of NATO, called Russia a principal threat, and deferred from Mr. Trump on whether Jerusalem should be considered the capital of Israel. He previously served as commander of U.S. Central Command from 2010 to
Hey,
2013.
sorry, Loki and I switched positions because my laptop isn't working.
Commander of the U.S. Joint Forces Command from 2007 to 2010, and NATO's Supreme Allied Commander of Transformation from 2007 to 2009. No, nobody cares? Nobody cares?
Hey, no, sorry, I missed everything. So you,
Good.
my,
deserve
I couldn't hear anything. My computer isn't working anymore. So
Okay.
who is this person,
General Mattis,
and what is her role?
his role?
Yes.
Female generals. What's wrong with you? We live in a patriarchy.
True.
Defense Secretary by
Yeah,
Senate.
Secretary of Defense. So he's in charge of all the armed forces, second only to President Trump.
Okay, so there's going to be more war in Trump's presidency because he also pledged to take out and eradicate radical Islam. So,
Hell yeah.
but then
Bring
also
him-
not
bring it back to
impose
war on terror.
themselves on any other country and put America first. I don't know how those things are going to work together, but
Well, here, I haven't got there yet. He also stressed that the military's lethal force must be strengthened in order to defeat the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. He said it must be an integrated strategy so that you don't squeeze them in one place and they develop in another. The strategy, he said, should focus on their recruiting and fundraising, in addition to direct military measures. So, does that
Oh,
answer
it's
that
nice
question?
that we're back to
now
ISIS.
can you explain that in stupid people terms?
In stupid people terms,
Yeah.
we're going to put troops on the ground and shoot them in the face,
So then there is
As
going to be
well-
more war.
as well as going after their recruiting websites and going after the people who fund them.
Well,
in a
you don't necessarily have to
non-military
say
manner.
more, just that they're going to strengthen what is already going on.
We don't
So that
have
means
any
they're
troops on the
going
ground.
to increase
right?
funding.
He
He
that
said
goes into the
direct
army and
military
military.
measures. We don't have any direct military measures right now.
So what was Obama doing all this time? Was he not doing?
Oh, that's funny. He was
Oh,
well after he
that was my
funded and
comment
armed
about-
them. After he funded and armed them and gave them wide berth to grow, he dropped some bombs on some unimportant areas.
It's what
Okay.
interesting thing is like how I don't know if you noticed or not, but for a while Obama was calling it ISIL instead of
Yeah.
ISIS, and
Which
that's
isn't
because
good.
he considers the Israel to be part of the terrorist organization. The Jews, in other words, he considers Jews
Right.
to be terrorists.
The Levant was basically like 3/4 of the Ottoman Empire. So basically, he's saying that they have domain over the entire.
But
Middle
I
East.
thought America
which
and
includes
Israel are
Israel.
cool.
No, not Israel as the country, the Jewish state, but the area of Israel belongs to them. Syria, Iraq, Israel, Lebanon. What's the other fucking country that's not Palestine? The other one that's in that area. So basically, not Egypt, but the Middle East, all the way through Iran, is the Levant. So it's basically saying they own all of that. So he was giving them more area. It's the old.
Yeah, Iran's not happy about that. They want to be the top dog in the Middle East, which makes them not get along with Saudi Arabia.
which is good. The more infighting they have, the less we have
But
to worry
aren't
about them.
Saudi Arabia? Is it Saudi Arabia and
I
Russia?
don't know
Are they
about that.
cool?
Yes, kind of. Not as Saudi
But then,
Arabia
like-
as Saudi Arabia was funding Hillary Clinton, right?
Hmm.
But they're not directly at odds with Russia. But if
But
the
they are
US went to
directly
war
at
with
odds
Russia, they would
with
be very
Iran.
happy. Yes, and Iran is allied with Russia, and so is Syria.
Well, the Syrian government, who's still pretty
Well, yeah.
shit.
Of course. Well,
they
that's the thing.
are.
Like Hillary Clinton had a list of countries that she wanted to overthrow the governments, and I was for it until the first country she did that to, Libya, where
Yep.
as soon as the government was gone, she was like, "Fuck you, brown people," and we see what it looks like there now. It's a fucking hotbed for ISIS. It's like, okay, the bitch has no follow through, then it's a horrible, horrible plan that's just going to result in, countless deaths and more terrorism. Whereas Bush's plan in Iraq and Afghanistan was to build a democracy and a stable country and government, and for it to be the example of freedom, liberty, and safety in the Middle East for the other countries. His vision of what to do was completely different than hers. Hers was basically get rid of the leaders and then let whatever happens happen. And that's fucking horrible. And that's a very horrible, horrible person who would do that to a country.
Well, I do think that now is a time where both the media and politicians, they're not even trying anymore. Like, I think even when Bush was around, they tried to package it in a digestible way where people could be like, okay, we're going in there and we're going to bring them democracy. And now they're just
Well, no, I actually read plans of what their end goal was. Like when we invaded Iraq, they were like, okay, we topple the government. We're going to have security and stability operations, and then we're going to have free elections. They did not have any contingency for the insurgency. So when the insurgency started, the U.S. Army was like, holy fuck, what's going on here? Because bombs started going off, and they started getting, guerrilla attacks, and they had to send the Marines in. And then for 4 years, nobody knew what to do because no one saw the insurgency coming. I don't know why, because the shit was going on everywhere. But the plan was basically, once Saddam was gone, they were going to set up and have free and open elections, and they were going to have a whole presidential campaign and a legislative and write a constitution for the country of Iraq, and then we were going to leave. Then the insurgency happened, and nobody knew how to get to writing the constitution and having the elections because of all the fighting. Whereas Hillary's plan was kill whoever's in charge and then leave. It's fucking scary because look at Syria. The Assad government's still there, and look how shit it is. Libya is worse. Libya is going through a much worse time, and it's all Hillary Clinton's doing. It was her plan. That's what she wanted to have happen there. That's fucking.
How do you
horrible
feel
human
about
being.
Trump having the standing ovation for her?
Let's see. I didn't see it. I don't know what you're referring to or why or when this happened.
They at one of the dinners he asked everyone to stand up and talked about how he had so much respect for the Clintons and whatever, and so people were pretty.
Yeah, maybe. Did he do it mockingly or was he being serious?
No, everybody stood up
Well, I'm sure they did, but did he do it to rub it in, or
I don't
do you think he was
know.
legit?
I mean, you can't tell with this guy, so it could have been that. It could have just been him. I mean, people seem to be pissed because they're like, what happened to lock her up and what happened? And then, crooked Hillary. And so now he's.
I would just like to find a not left-leaning news organization.
Are there any?
I don't know. Well, okay, so the San Francisco Chronicle, Perez Hilton, and Harper's Bazaar are the first 3 search results for that, and they're all very, very left, very anti-Trump.
Okay, there's InfoWars, there's Rebel, there's.
Where?
Turn on the frogs.
You're saying it. Where is it?
Wait, what do you mean?
That's what I asked for. You said that they reported on this. What you're talking about?
Oh, I saw this on BBC.
Of course you did. The BBC, who is firing white people because they're white, so they can hire more minorities. That
Okay, but then
Oh,
MSNBC hired someone from Fox, so
Diversity's getting ridiculous in that regard. We
We've
don't care
already
what your
clarified that Fox
qualifications
isn't
are,
real
just what your skin
conservative.
looks like.
Yeah. No, like legitimately, there was a guy who had worked there for years, was very popular. It wasn't the most popular BBC broadcast, but he was, he was up there, and they're like, "Oh, we have to let you go," and replaced him with somebody that no one's ever heard of because they were a minority. They had this whole thing of like they released how they're going to diversify and make changes so that they can have a more representative employee base to the population by race and gender.
I don't care.
You should, because that should taint anything you read from them, that they're literally firing people to hire other people based on the color of their skin. That should taint anything you read from them.
Oh, I know it's tainted. I'm just reporting on the reports.
Well, that's
I
what I'm saying. I
realize
wanted
the
a
bias.
report from somebody who, a right-wing bias, even if they're anti-Trump.
There was a video. I saw the video of Trump saying these words.
I asked for it, and you
Oh,
haven't
I have
provided it.
to-
And then you're
okay,
getting pissy with me like it's my fault you're not giving
No,
it.
I'll find the fucking link. I don't have my computer
Fucking
right
women,
now.
I swear.
Oh,
Aren't
I
you on a
hate-
computer? Does it
I'm
not
on
have,
Loki's
does it not have a
computer signed
browser?
in. Do you not see how I'm on Loki? I have to sign in
It's
on
saying,
my computer
does the
into my
computer have a
Facebook.
browser?
Yes, but then I
Okay.
would have to go back into my Facebook, and this is signed in on his accounts, on his
Oh.
stuff. I'm just a humble guest here at this moment. But Loki, you can come back, and I don't know what's going on. My computer isn't working. So continue on the article.
Uh-huh. We're on to the next one.
Number 3.
Boom, boom.
Yep. Donald Trump is sworn in as president.
What?
Washington. Donald John Trump was inaugurated as the 45th president of the United States on Friday, ushering in a new and more unprecedented era in which he vowed to shatter the established order and restore American greatness. From the west front of the Capitol, overlooking a crowd of hundreds of thousands as rain began to fall, Mr. Trump presented a dark vision of a nation afflicted by division and dislocation, exploited and forgotten by a group of Washington elites, and diminished around the world. His arrival, he promised, would finally turn it around. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now, he declared in a forceful 16-minute inaugural address. The time for empty talk is over, he added later. Now arrives the hour for action. Do not allow anyone to tell you it cannot be done. I like
He made a lot of
his whole
promises. He
speech.
said that he wouldn't let anyone down.
His whole speech was basically fuck Obama. Obama's been fucking you guys. I'm not here to fuck you guys. That's what I got from the majority of it.
Every politician fuck shit is just, he's offering some lube.
Oh no, he said finally we're after years of the power being in DC and them not listening to the American people, we're giving the power back. I'm here to give you the power back. It's basically, and Obama standing right behind him like, this motherfucker.
How awkward was it when he leaned in to kiss Michelle Obama?
I don't know. I didn't see
You
it.
weren't watching?
I don't know. I was traveling.
Yeah, I didn't see that part.
It was pretty awkward.
I noticed he
Probably in the
didn't
air at
shake
that point in
Bill
time.
Clinton's hand, though.
Oh, well, who would want to do
Didn't.
that? You've no idea where it's been.
I know, seriously. He puts his hand out, you spray it with hand sanitizer. There you go, you dirty motherfucker. Right, here we go. We are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people, he said while standing right in front of the president.
Isn't that exactly what Obama promised? Transparency and stuff.
Yeah, but Obama's a liar. He's a politician.
Yeah, well, no, fuck.
He was lifted up he went to the Bilderberg meeting, and then he became a senator. Or no, he became a senator in the state of Chicago. Went to the Bilderberg meeting, then was president a year later.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was a politician, and clearly he had a lot of backing from the powers that be, the same people who were backing Hillary, except he was successful. And he was just making his campaign promises. Like they ran a black guy because he was black. That's not racist. Well, not me saying it. It was racist for them to do it. But that was their whole fucking thing. Like the first black president. And then they tried to do it with Hillary Clinton as the first female president, and they fell flat on their fucking face.
But
Because
like as
we
soon
bought
as
it last
Obama,
time. We're not buying it this time.
but as soon as Obama got into power, the next day they're like, just because you have a black president doesn't mean racism is over in America. So it took them like 24 hours.
Well, that's the thing. That was just a campaign to be like, hey, if you don't vote for him, you're racist. Then they tried the same thing with Hillary, but after Obama, no one's like, yeah, we're not playing that game anymore.
But then they voted for him and they were like, yeah, you voted for him, but you're still fucking racist.
Yeah, so basically the whole DNC thing is identity politics, and they've been playing it for so long, and the right just doesn't. It appeals to emotion and identity politics, and the right just still hasn't caught up with it. Which is like they weren't supporting Trump, but clearly Trump was the best choice. Obviously, he won, and the conservatives were fighting him all along. There's the never Trumper Republicans, the establishment of the Republican Party, like the powers that be in the Republican Party, were like, not Trump, not Trump, not Trump, right? And they're like, he's just a joke, it's a circus, he's a clown. It was coming from both sides. Like nobody wanted him either way, but the people did, because they were tired of the shit that the left was playing. No?
I mean, I was
Oh, no,
watching
I think lots of people are tired of the fucking shit the left they're pushing, and that's
Well, I
why
think the conservatives-
that's why Trump won.
Well, as I was saying, the conservatives have been playing catch up, and they don't do the appeals to emotion. But you know, when I show somebody a picture of a poor, starving child, and then somebody is appealing to a logical reason why we should defund welfare, and then I hold up the picture again and be like, "This is what he wants." I don't have to make a valid argument against that. I just played on your heartstrings. You don't want little kids starving to death, right? And that's all I had to do. They don't have to make an argument. The conservatives haven't been able to figure it out.
Job.
Right, and that's what they did with Obama. That's how he got elected. But finally, at least enough Americans looked at it and said, "No, fuck that. Like, we're not playing this game again. We played this game with Obama twice, and look where it got us."
Yeah.
Okay, but like fairly, are things really that much worse? I mean, what do the statistics say? Because from
worse, how? What are we? What
like
metrics are we using?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are we talking about?
Unemployment, like mortality,
Yes.
disease,
No, not mortality,
violence.
not disease. No. Okay, but unemployment, your average income, your disposable income, all of those things have gone down. Right? All these things that Obama said he was going to fix, none of it has gotten better.
Again, is it just Obama, or has that not been a general trend? Like, and they were talking about in the Freakonomics thing that I brought up earlier. They were talking about how the millennial generation is making like a third or a half or 2/3 or something of what their parents made. So before, when our parents could,
that can't be true.
well, like in terms of, like maybe the value is more, but in terms
inflation,
of
right? The
Oh,
dollar
if you're
amount is
accounting for
more.
inflation.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
but
The
see,
dollar amount is more.
Like
but
right now,
that's because everything's based on the
a
American
single
dollar.
household,
and,
like in the
Obama
50s and
fucked everything.
60s, one income could sustain a household. Now, even two parents working is
Yeah,
that's
that
what I said.
happened.
Women back in
That
the
was the
kitchen,
housing.
or at
The
least
housing
one of
market
the
did
But
that.
even if women were going to go back in the kitchen,
No,
one
not just
income
women.
isn't enough anymore. Both parents.
No,
need
that's what
to
I said. It would balance out because now there'd be a surplus of jobs, but not a surplus of employees. Employers would have to pay more money. Right? When you have more employees than you have jobs, your pay goes down. The amount of money
Rent
you're willing
is
to pay
too
employees
damn
goes
high.
down. Right? But the whole big problem with Obama, there were two big things. The housing market, which wasn't really him, it was more Bill Clinton, and then Bush didn't do anything about it, which he should have. But
well,
he
Obama
also
didn't do anything about it either.
Right, and then it burst.
Fuck yeah.
The second thing was under Obama, our national debt almost tripled what it was when he took office, and our credit rating on the global market dropped. which has never happened in American history. He's the only president who can claim to have lowered our credit rating. And, when you're talking about, hey, it's hard to find a job, it's hard to get good money, and you're getting thrown these numbers of how much money the president is spending. This is why we can't lower taxes, because we're overextended so much. It would only make that worse. Our credit rating would drop again if we lower taxes because we're spending too much money. And all he did was increase the amount we were spending.
It's kind of interesting
Yeah,
that
but-
over this whole election, nobody actually brought up the fact of the debt ceiling, one that's been a huge issue for years.
Yeah, they were talking about that a lot a couple years ago.
Trump did.
I didn't
not
hear. I
directly.
didn't hear about it, to be honest.
Of course
That's
not. You always heard about grab her by the pussy and shit like that. You never heard about the real points that he made.
Yeah.
Right? They were always looking for the thing to make fun of, not the valid points that he made.
Okay, but that
He made
article also brought up the fact that in places where there's more income inequality, and I know that you think that's a leftist term, it's actually harder for people to go get out of poverty. So when
I don't think that is a leftist term, but saying that there's systemic income inequality, that is a leftist term. There will always be income inequality. Nobody's
yes,
the
but
problem
it's
with,
saying
uh,
that when
equality,
the,
it's
but
equity
they're
that
saying in
pisses me off.
places there's always income equality, but in places where the gap is bigger, you have a lower percent because it's a longer way they have to go, right? So you have a lower percentage of people who actually get their way out of poverty. So
Well, see, that's what I was saying. When you said 13%, I was like, that's huge. I was thinking it was going to be half that, and I would still think
that's
that was
in
a good number.
Canada. In America, it's 7.
Well, yeah. See, that's
And because-
more. That's a
and
good
the
number.
reason
I
it
think that
is-
is an acceptable number because people make bad decisions.
Well,
So you-
given that,
I know this.
7% of people, 7% of children who are born into poverty can make it to the top.
considering they
Right.
have 10 times the amount of people that we do, that's not bad, actually.
Well, see, my whole point is, I
I just think
that
income should be on a normal distribution,
Okay,
just like
okay,
any other.
Okay. I think that the issue is there is no economic education in the American public school system at all. Consumer math is
Yeah.
not like I've gone to 3 different high schools when I was in high school. Only one of them had consumer math, and it wasn't even required math. Right, and that's where they teach you to balance the checkbook and rent and
We
how to
had data
balance your bills and all
management. We
these
had
things.
calculus.
Right, so I'm
we
saying
had-
in the United States we don't even have that. So the poor kids aren't even taught money management anyway. And I think
Okay.
it should be something that starts in elementary
Switch.
school in a very basic way and works its way up. As you go up, it should become more advanced. And the average American, poor or rich, should have a solid understanding of personal economics and how your personal finances should be balanced and taken care of. And that percentage would be a much bigger. And poor people would only be poor because they're making bad decisions knowingly, and not poor people are raised in poor environments and don't know any better, and they make the same bad decisions that their parents made without knowing that's the cause of their problem.
Well, yeah, you tend to either emulate your parents or you do the opposite.
Exactly, and apparently only 7% have the mental
The drive.
ability to look at it and say that's bad. I should do something different.
Yeah.
And I think if we taught it in school, more people would come to that conclusion. Be like, well, if I did this, yeah, it would suck for the first 5 or 6 years I'm out of high school, and I'd have to work really hard. But then I'd have all the stuff I want when I'm 30, right? But we got 18-year-olds who are thinking 25-year-olds are old. And that's a problem because then they're like, oh, well, I don't want to wait till I'm old to enjoy life. I want to enjoy life now.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong mentality. And
No shit.
I was guilty of it too, but I was lucky enough to have a good job.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back.
I don't know. Do you agree with that, Loki? Do you agree
I
with
have
my
no
assessment?
idea what you guys are talking about. I was troubleshooting internet bullshit,
Oh.
but I think I fixed it.
Right. So Russell says kids who grow up on welfare are more comfortable staying on welfare. And that's
Yes.
basically my point, is that that's the environment that they know, and we're not teaching them anything different. Like the school should have economic training, right?
Mm-hmm.
They should teach you money management and personal finances and how interest rates work, how the taxes work, and you should be taught and know all these things. So if you make bad decisions, at least you knew better, right? So I'd have less sympathy for you. But you have kids who are growing up in shit household situations, and they don't know any better, and they're not being shown anything better. And then we're like, oh, these poor people. And poor as in
poor
like
people.
lack of money. Right? Like, look at all these poor people. It's like, yeah. And we're not doing anything to help them not be poor other than creating welfare, which really doesn't help them not be poor. It just puts them slightly in a comfortable poor position that they'll never want to get out of.
And it
Because
also
they
makes
don't know any
everybody else a little bit poor.
Well, no, I'm saying they don't know any. I'm not saying like they're mooches who just live off the system because they're lazy. They really don't know any better. They're not taught anything different. And we're just creating a perpetual cycle of dependency.
I don't know. I guess it varies because I know, like in the case of the Arctic, the Inuit, they're one of the reasons that the majority of them stay on welfare is because they make fucking a lot more than they would do if they never work.
That's how it is in California. It's gotten really bad there. If you get a minimum wage job, you lose something like 90% of your benefits. So you'll end up getting like $5,000 a year. But your minimum wage job, you're making about $23,000 a year. Welfare benefits are $70,000 a year. That's a huge cut that you take just to get a job. So to try to dig yourself out of poverty, they throw more dirt on top of you. Oh, you're trying to dig yourself out? Fuck you. Have some more weight. Right? That's how the welfare system works in California. It's like, so if you get put into the welfare system, if you find yourself in that position, unless you have a college degree and luck upon a good paying job, you have no reason to try to get off of welfare. That you'd be fucking yourself if you did. I'm sure it's like that in other places too. I'm sure Canada has that.
There are a lot of complaints about trying to dig yourself out from under the government systems.
Yeah,
they create a lot. Like I made a few videos recently about how they keep jacking up like the price of the. They don't really try to regulate the price of property in the area whatsoever, and
that's good.
They put a bigger emphasis on government housing. They're basically creating. You know, if you've seen it, you know. But like they're basically putting an emphasis on and a lot of benefits towards building government housing.
Oh yeah,
but are also almost encouraging the huge amount of foreign investors into our property.
You can get a townhouse that if you were to purchase it, it would cost you like a couple $100,000, and they get it for like $80 a month.
See, that's the problem. Like,
well, hold on,
800 or 900, it would be for a mortgage. They get it for like $80 a month.
I like to bring up the street I specifically live on because it's my best example personally because I live on it. Oh, you're too loud. Turn yourself down.
You're too loud.
Anyway, when we started living here, the bungalow down the streets was about well, I have to say $600,000 to $700,000. It's like 3 years later, and now it's about $1,700. That's not something that should be happening. It should not have gone $1 million up over the past couple of years, and it's doing that, and people are starting to complain and kind of freak out because it's all foreign investment. Everyone knows the Bank of Canada and like all the financial institutions have already been putting out all the worry about the fact that we have non-stop foreign investors just funneling money into us.
Shit, and the liberal around trying to find
Egal.
What?
Egal. I had a question. I've asked Loki about this like months ago. Okay, my plan was what I think would be a good solution when it comes to the housing for the poor would be something along the lines of the houses could only be so close to each other. So rather than entire poor neighborhoods of like government housing, it would be in the neighborhood. There could only be so many houses per neighborhood, and they couldn't be neighbors. Right. So basically, you're forcing, like Siggy was talking about, the single parent problem.
Yeah.
Right. And the single parent neighborhoods. So basically, you would take that single mom, and then she'd end up living in a suburban neighborhood that wasn't a bunch of other single parents. Right. It would be non-government assisted families around. So basically, you'd have to divide them up so that they would have the influence from other kids who were growing up in other neighborhoods, as well as being around other people who are working that could possibly help them get out of that situation by helping them find a job or something like that.
Well, that would be good, and at the very least, it would drive down the property value, since the odds are they can keep up with the upkeep.
Exactly. Well, I see that as a good
Say,
thing.
but
That's
it's
just
true.
me. I see it as a good thing. Property values going up. Like, I don't know if you guys have them. We have homeowners associations that crop up in all of our big suburbs. And basically, you sign this contract like you can't paint your house, you can't plant things in the yard without approval of your other neighbors. Like, they can actually kick you out of a house you own if you violate this agreement. You have to sign it when you buy the house.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I will
yeah,
never
yeah,
live in
yeah.
one of those. I will fucking never buy anything there.
Oh, honestly, I wanted to live in the fucking country, but that's not an option anymore. It looks like I'm stuck living in apartments for the rest of my life. But fuck it, whatever.
No. Once I get my camp going, you'll be good. No, I literally want to build a camp for people with disabilities,
You
homeless
have to learn-
people, low
You have to
income
learn to
people.
transition through that sentence a little bit easier. Because once you start most sentences with "I just want to build a camp for," most people get the wrong idea.
Well,
Right.
you
A
never
camp
know.
for the Joes, for my fellow
Don't know that I
Jews.
want to live in a trailer either.
No, like it's a farm. It's out in the country.
Oh,
But
okay.
it teaching woodworking, welding, animal husbandry, horticulture.
Well,
It's
yeah,
basically
I can do
like,
all those.
huh?
So I can already do all those. So that's
Did you
good.
say husbandry? That's sexy.
Right. Well, see, there you go. You could even have a job. So rather than being a member of the camp to learn these things, you could be an instructor. So then you'd even have a good paying job and a place to live. But that's one of the things I'm working on. But you'll also get to come to the U.S., which once it's established, I'll even be able to get you a what do you call it? A visa.
So there's kind of the deal breaker. It's like, I want to get the hell
are
out of
you
Canada,
surrounded
and
by
States doesn't really
Canadians
sound
right
like a
now?
great place to go.
I
it's
live
better
in
than the
Missouri. Hold on.
alternatives.
Let me put it this way. My state just elected a governor who all of his ad campaigns involve machine guns and explosives.
Okay, well, see, that doesn't
That is
make
the
me feel any more
governor of my state.
comfortable.
As of January 1st, we have constitutional carry, which means every citizen is allowed to carry a gun wherever they want other than federal buildings, courthouses, and schools and banks.
That's not really a selling point for me.
How not?
Because there's a lot of fucking crazy people out there, and they know that they can all carry
Not here,
guns
it's the
willy-nilly.
country. It's the country.
Well,
Well,
that
here's
doesn't
the
make
thing
it
is,
any better. What,
when-
there's no rednecks in the country? Where do you think rednecks come from? They come
No,
from the country.
No, this is the thing. Is when everybody has a gun, the crazy people tend to be less crazy. It's weird how that works. Apparently, they're
Well,
not.
yeah, because
as
they're
crazy
also
as you
afraid
think.
of getting shot.
Exactly.
But I don't
don't
really
know if
agree with
that
that
logic
philosophy of
works.
everybody having a gun makes it better, because they're still drunks, they're still assholes, and what
But
happens
that's
if you
just
don't
gonna
want to
happen
carry a
regardless.
gun?
And there's just more
Then you're
guns.
fucked.
Yeah, but it's better that they have not a gun than a gun.
I'd rather
It's more
everybody
yeah.
not have a
to kill
gun,
somebody
but that's
with a
me.
gun than it is with any other weapon.
I'd rather have a gun.
So that's the thing. Where I grew up, nobody had guns and nobody got shot. So
Hey,
Like more people
the
might
only
get
people who've
stabbed,
been
but
shot
that's still
out
not as
here.
legal as getting shot.
Yeah, the only people who've been shot out here were people who got shot by cops. You might know him, Michael Brown. That was about 40 minutes away from me. He got shot by cops. Things like that. But those are gun-free zones, so which are now outlawed. So that should go down.
don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
all of the
I don't
violence that happens here. Like, okay, I know the marshal, and I know the town marshal, and I know the county sheriff. They come out, they hang out, we have barbecues, so I don't have to worry about getting shot by the cops ever.
Worst we get is the odd stabbing and stores getting robbed at knife point and shit like that.
I'd rather get shot than stabbed.
Are you
Oh.
sure about
I
that?
would rather
'Cause,
get
like,
that.
Yeah, I'm
even
very
if
sure
not
about
from
that.
a distance, someone's got to get close to you to stab you. You can't deny that it's easier to kill somebody with a gun than it is with any other weapon. Like you
My
have to
sister
why
have.
would
got
I-
stabbed
why
in
would
the
I
heart
ever
and
deny
I
she
can
that?
shoot
survived.
low-key, no problem. But if I had to beat him with a
Oh,
baseball
really?
bat, that would be
really?
a lot harder.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Are you sure?
It's also
Wait,
But
depends.
then
I've
also
done
the
shooting before.
chances of him taking the gun and using it against me is also the other thing.
That's why you
and-
get trained.
Right. So people should only have a gun if they've been trained for it.
No, I didn't say that.
No,
saying
I
you
No,
said
you
that.
said
should
everybody
be
should walk
trained.
around willy nilly.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's
Potty
the
in my
difference.
pants and everybody's
So
invited.
us down here with our Second Amendment, people just don't
Russell,
understand.
are you stuck in New York City? Could
Probably.
you not move out to New Jersey
Oh God,
Or-
what
or-
Jersey? What the
or
fuck?
Toronto? It's kind of
Like,
a little bit
What?
cheaper
It's
here.
Jersey thing.
Hey, you live in a dirty alleyway. Why don't you jump in the dumpster? That's what you just said, Loki. Fuck New Jersey.
Well,
There's
at least
food
the
in the
dumpster
dumpster.
offers some kind of some kind of protection from the elements. The dirty alley just offers you the ability to get stabbed by a junkie.
New Jersey is literally a trash fill, a trash dump with statehood. That's what New Jersey is.
Have you ever lived in New Jersey?
Yes.
No, but
Have
I've
you ever
seen
lived in
the
New York?
show Jersey Shore.
Have I lived in New York? Yeah.
That's a different
Okay,
Not
Jersey.
in New York
Not
City.
related.
New York.
Hold on a second. Hold on a
That
second.
Jersey is in Los Angeles. It's a different
Oh.
Jersey.
That's weird.
That's where the worst kinds of people exist.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not really much incentive to want to move there.
Where?
Like if people really want to see
Jersey
what
Shore.
Persians are like, they should
Oh,
just
yeah.
watch Shaws of Sunset, and then that'll tell you
See,
everything.
Russell's with me. He knows.
There's that New York pride. You were the first new anything before New Jersey stole your new.
I don't know. I grew up next to New York State, so I don't know.
Well,
I
we
can't really say
literally have a
anything.
place called Newfoundland, which is Newfoundland. So
Except it wasn't new. It wasn't
Oh yeah, but
like
Newfies, you know, they got places, little towns like Dildo and things like that.
Oh, did you guys hear that President Obama commuted Chelsea Manning's sentence?
Heard that, but I
Who
didn't know what the
is-
hell it meant.
Chelsea, is it Tanner Jennings? What's the who is
What?
this person?
No,
Chelsea
so-
Manning used to be Bradley Manning, who leaked secrets to WikiLeaks and then was court-martialed for treason and thrown in prison, where he then complained that I'm transgender and forced the U.S. Army to pay for their transition to being a woman, who is now known as Chelsea Manning.
It's transgenderism, guys.
It is.
And you want your government to pay for all of it at all times, forever and ever, because if the government doesn't pay for it, then you're expected
You're
to
on
get-
the wrong narrative. You're on the wrong narrative.
I'm sorry,
No,
guys.
that's pretty close. No, they're
getting
pushing
pretty
that.
drunk.
No. Bradley Manning got his fifis hurt in the Army, so he went and took a hard drive and copied everything he could fucking find on a classified server, and then leaked it to WikiLeaks as like, oh, fuck the military, because he got his feelings hurt. He committed treason. Because you shouldn't let mentally disturbed people in the military.
Oh, that narrative.
You should
Yes.
only let
Then
them out
that's
of
why
the
you can't
military.
have women in the military. They're mentally
Exactly.
disturbed for at least
Once
a
a
week of
month.
every month. I'm sorry, some of the girlfriends I've had, they would fucking turn treasonous at least once a month.
Hmm.
How many girlfriends have you had? I'm kidding. I don't care.
See, she cut you off real quick because she does care.
She knows the answer.
Oh.
What am I on? My third? Yeah, I'm on my third.
Who cares?
Third
Doesn't
wife?
matter.
Third girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Only have
Oh.
one wife.
Yeah. I try to tell my
Wait,
fiance,
wait,
like,
wait.
I've had one wife. I'm good with that. I've
Hold
had
on.
the
You
experience.
mean
I'm good.
third girlfriend with current wife?
No, I'm getting divorced and I have a girlfriend.
Oh, congratulations. I think it's a
Where
rite
I
of passage
was.
these days.
It's in the Netherlands, being happy.
Oh,
Happiness
I
is
hope you make it out
overrated.
there, and I hope you guys get to have your Lord of the Rings styled wedding or whatever it is people do in the Netherlands.
That would be New
Uh,
Zealand, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
No,
say.
that's what I want if Loki and I ever get married, and then all our favorite people have to sit at the Mordor table.
If I was gonna go with stereotypical Netherlands, it would be prostitutes and weed.
Yeah. There's not much else.
Wait, does
Not really.
does Netherlands have free weed?
There's mountains.
Because we have free weed. I don't
Not free,
understand
but
how the
it's-
Canadian government decided to give away free weed. My buddy has Crohn's disease, and he got his doctor to prescribe him marijuana, and then his doctor and then the government gives him like $1,400 a month because he decided to have a kid to boost that up, because he can't work. So he just hangs out and smokes a
Damn.
lot of weed. Plays video
Shit, man,
games.
I looked into it, and I would have got maybe 500 a month. What the fuck is he doing?
Extra?
No, I would have got 500 for disability, and like that's it. That's why I'm
I
not
actually
even
don't.
bother.
I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know. Last time he
It's 'cause
counted
he
out, he's
lives
getting
in-
like $1,600 a month from the government by having a kid, divorced, Crohn's disease, and shit. I don't remember what else. But like apparently he's just like special dietary thing that he got from his doctor. Maybe you should talk to your doctor about that. Apparently he's like, oh, my doctor said I need a special diet, so the government has to fork over an extra $400 a month. And he's like,
No,
and I have
I
a
don't-
kid, so that's an
fuck,
extra
man.
$600 a
None
month.
of that shit was fucking covered. Like I never heard of anybody getting fucking weed covered by any fucking plan.
California.
Oh no, he pays
Blowing
for it.
somebody.
No, he pays for the weed. He just gets $1,600 from the government a month. And
Well, he's-
I say in
Like-
California you can get it covered by your health
But
insurance.
it's a good it's
Not
he
after
gets
Trump's
a good
done with it.
amount for very cheap.
he just gets it from the regular website. It's not like a special deal. You just go in Pure Later, it delivers it to your door.
Okay, guys.
Or you
we've
can go
been
to
going for
Colorado.
2
It's super
hours.
cheap there. You don't even need a prescription.
You can just grow it yourself if you really get lazy.
Yep. Completely legal. No one cares.
So wait, what was the whole point of we were going for 2 hours? Do you want us to stop?
Yeah,
No,
she's
I'm
trying.
no, you guys can keep going. But
well, the last
I'm
time I
starting to pass out slowly.
no, my girlfriend's disabled, so that's not going to happen.
What's not?
Moving to Colorado?
Hello?
What happened?
Where'd he go?
Egal?
Hmm? What?
What happened?
What?
What's not gonna happen? So Trump's president now.
I guess. I don't know what happened to him. I think he's cutting out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've just been very frustrated with technical difficulties tonight. So
Yeah. Well, I think I'm about done because I've almost been up for 24 hours. I had to get up at 3 a.m. and I've been traveling for like 17 hours, and I'm
Okay.
tired.
Fine. I guess everyone's well,
I feel you. I feel you.
we gotta chill. Everyone comes on these things to chill. So go ahead.
Yep. Show yourself.
Huh? What? Who? Where?
Oh,
Plug yourself.
Plug yourself.
Tell everyone
Let
how
people
great
know-
you are.
I'm not a plug. What the hell? My dad's a plug, but wait, what? No.
You do music.
tell us about yourself.
Myself? I don't know. I'm chill.
And
I do
where
a
we can
variety on
find
my
more.
channel. I do jokes. I do rants. I do thought pieces. I do a little music. It's may make your ears bleed. I'm still learning, trying to get better, but I don't mind sharing what I do. Beyond that, I don't know what to say. Follow me on Twitter. I got a GoFundMe going right now if you want to help in that department. Any and all things are appreciated. Also have Patreon, PayPal. You know, anything helps.
Are
Yeah,
you gonna
I
come
think
back
that's about
and
it.
join us again?
Yeah, sure.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was good. Besides the technical issues aside.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yep,
No,
that-
it's
that-
all right.
That's probably going to be another $700 we're going to spend tomorrow for a new laptop. But
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
well, you can't use
These
a
things
laptop
happen.
that doesn't connect to the internet.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I mean, you can, but just not for anything cool.
No, I guess not. It's a good paperweight.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, hers is really nice and shiny. It's got this weird aircraft aluminum shininess to it. No colors, no plastic to it, and it's really thin, so you can like bake a pizza
bought
on
it
it.
'cause it was pretty.
She did, but I argued at her to never buy anything that frivolous for any reason whatsoever.
Hey, it's been doing good for a good 5 years.
I've bought used computers that worked well on me for 5 years before they exploded, and no.
No, it's been
Sometimes
fine.
refurbished is not a bad way to go either.
No, I actually want to go to Canada Computers and go pick up a $700 laptop, something decent for her to use, something that will do a lot more than just be able to surf Facebook.
Fair enough. You want it to be able to live stream as well.
Yes, actually, I do want to be. Maybe I'll just convince her to just forget about getting a laptop and get a desktop and a mini desk.
Where are we gonna put it?
The mini desk, where the Christmas tree is right now. By the way, we still have
I
a
wanna
Christmas tree.
Ugh,
I like my Christmas tree.
horrible.
All right, thanks a lot for having me on, guys. I'm gonna get going.
No problem.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming on.
Me too.
Yeah.
Siggy, I guess everyone have a good night. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for
Join
watching.
us on Discord.
Yep.
We'll
Cheers.
continue there.
All right.